Welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs and Company, the show that's heard each and every Monday through Friday, noon till, well, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes a little bit later, sometimes a little bit less. This is the first of two streams that we offer for you here at the Pugs and Company worldwide headquarters, snugly located high above the 1%er compound in beautiful Highland Park, Texas. The second one, 9 p.m. tonight. That's called Pillow Talk. That show airs. Okay, we've got to talk about that show just for a moment. Oh, yeah, look, I appreciate it when my alerts let me know that I'm on the air. Would hate to miss myself. The Pillow Talk show did not air last night. We're also not going to do a Pillow Talk tonight. It is the national championship game, and I could make a whole long list of excuses as to what, a lot of the people that would be tuned in are probably going to be watching the game while we do the Pillow Talk show. Truth of the matter is I want to watch the game. Look, when we started the Pillow Talk show, I let you all know that there were going to be issues on Mondays and Thursday nights for football. And I've kept my word, and tonight there is one of those issues. But typically the Pillow Talk show will air Sunday evenings. Pugs, you got to tell them about Sundays too. Sundays are becoming more and more difficult to do the Pillow Talk show because I have my son certain weekends. So I'm thinking maybe every other Sunday we'll be doing a Pillow Talk show. Every other Sunday, because I don't like to do it when I have my kid. But other than that, the Pillow Talk, here's what you can be guaranteed of. Here's what you could take to the bank regarding Pillow Talk. We're going to do Pillow Talk every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. For sure. There's nothing going on. No. Yes. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That airs from 9 p.m. until we end. That's typically a little bit more, we fly by the seat of our pants during the Pillow Talk show. I like to have guests on. I like to do a little bit of conversational chemistry. We talk in longer form about topics and things that don't necessarily have to do with current events or hot topics or trending topics, which is the purpose of this show. That's right. The High Noon Show each and every day, Monday through Friday, noon till about 2 o'clock. We like to go through all the things that are trending, all the things that people are talking about, all the things that are happening in the world on this particular day. And we keep you prepped up. We get you all the information that you need to know so that you don't go walking around running into people going, hey, did you hear about? And then you have to go, no, tell me about it. You get it from me first. You'll get the rundown from me each and every day here in High Noon. So thank you for joining me. And if you could, please like, subscribe, do all of that stuff. If you've missed any shows, you can always go back to the YouTube page, which is easily accessible by just going to pugscast.com, or you can search Pugs and Company on YouTube. But like the page so that when you go to YouTube, it comes up as one of the, frequented pages that you have. It'll be easy that way. But again, pugscast.com is also the place where you can go to be directly taken. I was going to say transported. It's not teleported. I know that. I'm not that crazy. You'll be taken to the Pugs and Company page if you go to the pugscast.com website. We got Bill. Hi, Bill. We got April. We got Albert. We got Jeff. People starting to fill in here in the chat. You can join us in the chat too. We like to do that. We like to have a little bit of fun in the chat room. Byron now joining us. Bill says, if you hate college football, it's a good night to DoorDash deliveries and make some cash. Yeah, I don't hate college football, though. April says, go Mavs. Yeah, you know what? Just before we get into things, how about that? Good for them. See, here's the thing. My two favorite basketball teams played yesterday. And I can't decide if I love it when my two favorite basketball teams play or if I hate it. Now, both of my favorite basketball teams happen to be very hot at the moment. My Chicago Bulls, the team of my youth, the team that I used to work as. I didn't work for the Bulls, but I worked for their flagship station as a producer, as an intern, as that kind of thing. Yeah. During the only time when it really mattered to be close to them, the Jordan Bulls era. That's right. That's where I come from. That's where my allegiance to that team comes from. And the Mavericks, they played last night. Bulls were on a 9-game winning streak. We're number one in the East, just playing ridiculous. DeMar DeRozan is the number one vote getter in the East for the All-Star game. The number 3 vote getter is Lonzo Ball, who's also on. I just love my Bully team because, quite honestly, unlike my Mavs, The Bulls have been bad for a lot of years. And last year, they just cleaned house and they put some stuff. They got Billy Donovan. We got Arturis. Management is completely different. So very excited about the Bulls this season. But also, we're in a bit of a rebuild not a full-on rebuild, but new coach and, new attitude and trying to build around Luka here in Dallas and got some players. I loved Hardaway last night. Mavs were on a 5-game winning streak, or was it 6? Maybe it's 6 now. Maybe it's 7 now. I'm not sure. But either way, the Mavs took down my Bulls last night at the American Airlines Center. Hey, man, Bulls were going for 10 in a row. That's hard to do in the NBA. That's really hard to do in the NBA. And if any team had to end our streak, I couldn't be happier that it was my Mavs. So, yeah, 6 in a row now. So go Mavs, go Bulls. I'm telling you, if by some happenstance the NBA Finals turned out to be the Bulls and the Mavs, well, that's a question for another day, so we'll get into that. What is today, though? What is this day? Let's talk about this day. Today is January the 10th. It is the 10th day of the year. See, January 10 day, easy. Didn't even have to do math on that one. It's the 10th day of the year. There are 355 days remaining in the year. Let's talk about some things that happened on this day. Let's see here. This is weird. Okay. So not a whole lot of news, not a whole lot of big events, world-shaking, earth-shattering events occurred on this day in history. I mean, I guess on this day back in the 1950s, the UN welcomed the Roman Catholic Church into their fold. The Holy See was brought. Hey, we don't need to talk about that. Who cares about that? There ain't no Catholics around here. But we do like to... Look, I have a theory. We've talked about this for a while now. The theory is that between 1945 and the year 2000, there was a commercial airline disaster every single day of the year. Not in the same year, but between 1945. If you looked at July the 13th, and you looked at everything that happened on that day, you would find a commercial airline disaster occurring on July 13th between the years 1945 and 2000. Well, Pugs, why do you stop at 2000? I just figured we got it figured out by then. Air travel was new for a while. We worked all the bugs out by 2000. And what about all the terror bombings? I'm not necessarily talking about terror bombings. I'm talking about the mechanical aspects of commercial air travel. Engines used to just stop. Planes would drop at 30,000 feet. So my theory is, of course, so far, January 3rd. I've been doing this now for a couple of months. January 3rd is the only day where there was not a significant commercial airline disaster. But for some completely bizarre reason, on that day, there were 4 passenger train accidents, like major passenger train accidents where people died. So January 3rd looks like possibly a good day to fly, not a good day to take a train. Today we got 2, 1954, flight 788, a DH-106 Comet explodes and falls into the Temmenian Sea, killing 35 people on board. And on this year in 2000, a Crossair flight 498 crashes in Niedersachsen, Switzerland after taking off from Zurich Airport. That killed 13 people. So there you go. There you go. So there were plane disasters today. Have a nice day, folks. Hope you're listening while on your way to the airport. I would like to do births on this day. Let's see. These are all the things that we run through. We get all of this stuff out of the way early on, just before we get into telling you exactly what's trending and what's happening in the world. And there's some things trending today. There are. It's a Black Monday, they say. 1943 birthday, Jim Croce, American singer-songwriter. He died in 1973. Jim Croce is interesting. Jim Croce is a guy, I always tell you about how I educate my son on music since he's been a baby. I didn't play him Raffi songs when he was a baby. I didn't play him Boogaloo songs when he was a baby, but I did play him Sinatra, Dylan, and Jim Croce. I played that stuff. So he has no shit music in his entire lexicon of music knowledge, all of that. He has no shit music. He has just great. And early on, it was all about singer-songwriters. And, Jim Croce was a guy who lent itself. I mean, you could just change a few words, maybe a few narratives in Jim Croce's songs, and they could be kid songs. You're telling me Bad Leroy Brown isn't a kid song? I mean, my son loves that one. My son loves You Don't Mess Around with Jim. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit into the wind. You don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. Jim Croce died in 1973. He was born on this day in 1943. Died incredibly young, too. I mean, incredibly young and having produced an insane body of work at the time that he died. Had Jim Croce not died, I mean, we could be talking about one of the great songwriters of all time. I mean, he died 43, 53, 63, 70. He was 30 years old. And Jim Croce's greatest hits album, go Google it right now and pull it up. It's like at 30 years old, this guy had already had like dozens of hits. I mean, it's ridiculous how prolific this guy was and what a wonderful way with words and the ability to tell a story through song that he had. Jim Croce, born on this day in 1943. Another guy who I did not hit my son to early on, but, not for any other reason than, just didn't get around to him. Rod Stewart, born on this day in 1945. Rod Stewart. Do I have any Rod Stewart stories? No, I don't. Except that he and one of his sons, they seem to get arrested a lot lately. Rod Stewart and his son, they seem to go out and get drunk and start fights with people. And I gotta imagine it starts with people. Hey, that's Rod Stewart. Hey, I heard when I was a kid that they pumped your stomach and found 50 gallons of mail. You know that one. I won't get into it. That's a story for late night, but Ross Rubio knows. If he's in the chat room, he knows the joke I was getting into. So happy birthday, Rod Stewart. There will be no stories or jokes told at your expense regarding amounts of male reproductive fluid that was pumped out of your stomach. 1948, Donald Fagen was born. Oh man. Did he die? Is Fagan the one that's dead, or is Walter Becker dead? I don't know. One of the Steely Dan guys, I believe, is dead. I could be wrong on that. Steely Dan. That's a band that I will engage my son with at a later date. That is another amazing. Oh, that's actually, you know what? That's not true. My son already does kind of have a small working knowledge of Steely Dan, because their song Dirty Work was featured in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and he really liked it. And I'm like, oh, you like this? Well, I have more to share with you. We didn't really get into that. Born on this day in 1949, one of America's most beloved big bruisers, George Foreman, born today. 1949, also born on this day. Linda Lovelace. Linda Lovelace, like one of the first porn stars. Pugs, it's not a question. She was a porn star. I mean, what are you doing? We just don't like to talk about porn stars on this show. And, Pillow Talk, we'll go deep into porn stars. Linda Lovelace, born on this day. She's dead, though, too. She died in 2002. She was the star of, what movie was she the star of? She wasn't like, I try to think of like, what are the porn films from like the real controversial ones that were like the first porn film. Debbie Does Dallas. She wasn't Debbie. Debbie Does Dallas. What was the other one? Was it Behind the Green Door? Does that sound right? I think that was it. I think whichever one it was Behind the Green Door. When that movie was released, I've seen documentaries on this subject. When that movie was released, it was almost as successful. Well, it was as successful as a mainstream film. It was only shown in those before VHS and then digital downloads and then Pornhub or whatever else is out there. Before those things had the ease of access to pornographic material that there is today, people used to have to go to like a gross movie theater, and it was like just weird, sketchy things going on. But for some reason, this movie, Behind the Green Door, it drew mainstream. Like, it became like a cool hipster kind of thing to do, to take your otherwise decent and upstanding date to this movie. And there's all kinds of stories about, was she forced to do it? She claims she was forced. She went on in life to become an ardent anti-pornography advocate and, all that kind of stuff. So happy birthday, Linda Lovelace. She's dead, stupid. I apologize. That's right. She passed away in 2002. More music for you. Pat Benatar, American singer-songwriter, 1953, born on this day. I love Pat Benatar. I think Pat Benatar is very underrated. I rediscovered Pat Benatar and Joan Jett back in the days when I used to run. Hey, Pat Benatar's got some good songs, man. She really does. What's that one? We're running with the shadows of the night. That was a good song. Shadows of the Night, I believe it's called. I like that one. That's got a great melody to it. I'll tell you. I don't know if you can dance to it. I'm not much of a dancer, but that's a good one. It's got a good. Happy birthday, Pat Benatar. Still going strong. Born on this day in 1956. Oh, here's one for you. I got a story surrounding this one. Born on this day in 1956, Shawn Colvin, American singer-songwriter and guitarist, Austin, Texas resident, proud Texan Shawn Colvin, back in probably around 98, maybe 99, maybe 97, maybe 96. I don't know. When you get to be my age, all the years kind of just blend together like a Jell-O mold. Pugs, Jell-O molds don't blend together. I was struggling for, analogy there. Shawn Colvin, who won Album of the Year, Song of the Year, all of these things back in one of those years that I just mentioned for Sonny Came Home, which is a cool song. I still like that song. She came on the day. Okay, so I worked for a guy named Kevin Matthews in Chicago, and he was a Shawn Colvin fan. And Shawn Colvin came up. This was before she was even really famous. She was just sort of like mid-level. She would play in bars and little theaters and stuff like that. And she had a following of people who loved her and knew how great she was. And she finally got a record company to go, okay, you know what? We're going to get behind you and we're going to push you. And so she put out the song Sonny Came Home. And they debuted it. The international debut of her new song was allowed to be played on the show that I was producing at the time, the Kevin Matthews show in Chicago. And so she came in and, we were going to listen to the song with her and she was going to talk about the song. So here's my Shawn Colvin story. So I bring in Shawn Colvin. She's at the front desk. I walk her back. I bring her into the green room. I get her all set up. And I could tell right away that she was kind of irritated. She was not mean. She's not rude. As a matter of fact, she was, as kind as anyone. But I could tell that there was something else kind of bothering Shawn. So I sat her down and I gave her a newspaper. I remember she wanted a newspaper and she carried a tea bag, I want to say, in her purse. And she just wanted hot water. She didn't want coffee. She just wanted a little tea. So we bring her in and they have a nice little conversation. As I said, my host at the time was, he knew all about Shawn Colvin and he was doing a nice little interview. And then it came time to debut the song, Sonny Came Home. Shawn had not heard it yet in its final mix. She wrote it, she performed it, but then, the record company took it over and they did what they did. And she had not heard the final mix. This was, like I said, it was, I believe the day it was released, or maybe even before it was released, whatever, it was the debut of the song. So the record company guy is there with her now, and he's in the booth with us. And the song starts to play, and they're listening, the host and Shawn. She's got her headphones on. And I walk into the studio, as I do during any kind of a break, to see if anybody needs anything, if everybody's okay. And as I'm walking in, I see her take off her headphones, slam them down on the desk. And she looked at my host, Kevin, and she said, I need to be right back. I need to make a phone call. And she blows past me out the studio door. And then Kevin looks at me, as was always the case, like, I want to know what's going on here. So, dude, follow her. So she goes storming out of the studio, and her record company guy is following her. The record company guy, baby, Shawnee, baby, what's going on? What's the problem, baby? That whole thing. And as they're walking through the hallways of the old Loop 97.9, remember, this is the song Sonny Came Home. Walking through the hallways of the old Loop radio station, I'm following about 5 yards behind, just, okay, making sure everything's okay. Is there anything I can do? Is there a problem? Is she upset with the show? That's my modus operandi. That's what I'm, going to let them think I'm doing. I'm not eavesdropping on the drama that seems to be boiling over at the moment. And Shawn Colvin turns to the record company executive and starts screaming, what did you do? What did you do to my song? What did you do? That is not my song. That is not what I want. That is not. Remember now, this is the first time that she has heard it since recording it. And the record company took it over and they mixed it or did whatever. And I'll never forget Sean Colvin saying this. Now, excuse me, I'm going to use some language here, but she turns to the record company guy and she says, "You want another fucking Sheryl Crow? I ain't fucking Sheryl Crow. That ain't me." And she calmed down. And after a few minutes, I guess the record company guy calmed her down. Deep Throat, not Behind the Green Door. Sorry, backtracking. Linda Lovelace was in Deep Throat. Thank you, Tom Beller. Not Behind the Green. You are right, Tom Beller. I am not fucking Sheryl Crow, right? So that's the argument. They go into the green room and they close the door. And I walk back into the studio and he goes, "What's going on?" And I go, "She doesn't like her song." He goes, what do you mean she doesn't? What do you mean Sean Colvin doesn't like her song? This sounds great. There's nothing wrong with the show. We're going to add it. We're going to play this song. I'm like, well, I don't know. They closed the door of the green room and now they're in there and whatever. So we go to a commercial break. We're extending it. Typically after the song plays, it would come back to the host and the guest and they would say, "Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's the new one from Sean Colvin. Sonny Came Home. It's going to be released later today. You can pick it up at blah, 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 blah. Sean, how wonderful." Right? That's normally how it would go. But instead, it just went from the song dead into a commercial break because we needed to extend time because we weren't going to let her get away. We needed her back on. She had an obligation, and now she's frosty. And now, in retrospect, I think that she had some fears about the song, and that's why I said when she walked in, she wasn't mean. She was very kind. She was cool to me. But I could tell that she was kind of like, maybe it was that she wasn't happy with the record company. Maybe it was that. Maybe she was just gearing up to be pissed off. And so finally, she comes out and she walks back into the studio and we come back from the commercial break and my host is like, "Oh, hey, Sean, so we just listened to the song. I thought it sounded great. Wow, what a great song." And she's like, "Yeah, blah, blah, blah." And she started just doing the normal promotional talk about it. "Well, yeah, I wrote it about this and this was the inspiration for," but she couldn't do it. She was so authentic. She couldn't do it. And she goes, "But I got to say, that was the first time I heard it. And, I didn't expect it to sound like that. I really didn't. And I think that if you know the kind of music that I do, that doesn't really sound like me. That sounds a little bit more pop." And so here she is. We just played the song. I know from watching her, she's livid, but she's being a good soldier, Sean Colvin. And she's going on the air and she's still promoting it because she has obligations. And bottom line is she wants a hit, right? But that's not, she felt, representative of what it is she could do. So now fast forward a few months later, song becomes a massive hit. It's a big hit, biggest hit of her career. It's the song that she is known for. It is her most, if she were to walk out on a talk show today with a new album, the band would play Sonny Came Home, as she's walking out. Wins album of the year, wins song of the year, and she hated it. So there you go. That's a little fun story about Sean Colvin, a little personal, fun Sean Colvin story in 1956. So now you can listen. You can pull up Sonny Came Home on YouTube or wherever it is that you get your music, Spotify, whatever, and give it a listen. And then you will know that the artist actually did not like that song, did not like the way she loved the song. She didn't like what the record company had done to it. So there you go. That's a fun little Sean Colvin story. Another birthday. This is a big one. Jermaine Clement. Y'all know who Jermaine Clement is? Oh my God, I am a crazy Clement head. I am a diehard Jermaine Clement head. I think he is. He and his writing partner, Taika Waititi, who is probably one of the hottest directors in Hollywood now, they created a whole bunch of amazing things. What We Do in the Shadows is their creation. Eagle versus Shark, I think, is another one. He's a New Zealand comic actor, tremendous comic actor, New Zealand comic actor, writer. His partner, Waititi, is the director and also the writer. Probably, if you love HBO shows, Flight of the Conchords, Jermaine Clement is one of the Conchords. He's the tall, handsome one with the glasses, with the deep voice. It's Jermaine Clement's birthday today, born on this day in 1974. Born on this day in 1981, Jared Kushner. Happy birthday, Jared Kushner. He is an American real estate heir and political investor, husband to Ivanka Trump. And, I saw a funny tweet recently from Carly Kloss, who is a Victoria's Secret model, and she is married. Karlie Kloss is married to Jared Kushner's brother. And there was it was on January 6th. And she tweeted out on January 6th from the Karlie Kloss blue check account. So it's her legit account. She tweeted out just simply, "You guys, I'm sorry. I tried really hard." She is Jared Kushner's sister-in-law. I don't know what that means, but a lot of people drew their own conclusions, and it can be whatever you want it to be. Also, we don't like to do Dead on This Day unless it's somebody of some real significance, but Dead on This Day, 6 years ago already, David Bowie. David Bowie died 6 years ago today. God, it just seems like that does not seem 6 years. Didn't Prince die like around the same time as David Bowie? I seem to remember those two passing away fairly close to one another. David Bowie, one of the greats of all time. Talked to my son about David Bowie this weekend. We were listening to some Spotify, and we were just a random playlist. And one of my favorite songs of all time, Life on Mars, came on. And I'm like, dude, you got to listen to this. All right. No, seriously, dude, just shut up and just listen to it. My kid's good like that. My kid and I love music together. So he just, But here's the deal with my 12-year-old son. If I tell him he's got to listen to one, our deal is then he picks a song that I got to listen to. So I listen to a lot of trash. I listen to a lot of 12-year-old mumblecore hip-hop trash. But, fair is fair. I try to remain optimistic. And, if it's guy, he's like, what do you think? And I always try to find something about it that I like. I front load with, something that's cool. And even if I'm bored to tears or just frustrated, I'll get out while listening to it. I will make a point of nodding my head or tapping my finger, giving him some social cues that, I'm all in on this. I play a song, you play a song. And he returns the favor by being fair and good with me. David Bowie died on this day in 2016. David Bowie, one of the most important musical artists, I would say, of my lifetime. What is today? This is the last of our maintenance that we do each and every day. We figure out what is being celebrated today. Okay. It's a National Clean Off Your Desk Day. All right, I got that. I got a pretty good desk situation going on. How about you folks? You guys good with the desk situation? Mine's pretty solid. It's also National Bittersweet Chocolate Day. What's the point of that? What is the point? What is the point of bittersweet chocolate? It's like unsweetened chocolate. What is that? You're just like chewing dirt. What? I don't want bittersweet chocolate. I want chocolate. Had a post the other day on Twitter where I put together my favorite flavor combinations, and chocolate made the cut. My three favorite flavor combination draft. The representative from the Pugs and Company High Noon Edition selects with I can't go backwards, can I? I like to do a countdown when I do these, but this is a draft, so I got to go with the best one first. Okay. The number one overall pick in the flavor combination draft for me is wasabi and soy sauce. You guys. A fine. Look, I don't even know. I'm not sure if I like sushi, but I love the wasabi and soy sauce. And if you do it correctly, you ain't tasting anything but wasabi and soy. In the second round of flavor combination draft, the representative from the Pugs and Company High Noon Show will select with their second pick chocolate and peanut butter. Chocolate and peanut butter, man. I'm telling you. Does it get any better than chocolate and peanut butter? Yeah, it does. You just said wasabi and soy. Okay, so it gets a little better than chocolate and peanut butter, but and in the third round of the flavor combination draft, the representative from Pugs and Company chooses buffalo and blue cheese. Buffalo and blue cheese. So there you have it. 3 best flavor combinations. Buffalo and blue cheese. 2, peanut butter and chocolate. Happy Bittersweet Chocolate Day. And number 1, wasabi and soy. Those are the things I love. There's a case to be made. There is definitely a case to be made for mashed potatoes and brown gravy. But, at the moment, we're going to keep it to 3. I could probably do 10 flavor combinations. Peanut butter might actually make a couple of appearances, because don't get me started on peanut butter and cherry jelly. Oh, or strawberry jelly. Not grape, though. Pfft, so pedestrian. It's also National Oysters Rockefeller Day. Oysters. Oysters Rockefeller is like some fancy rich guy variation of just regular oysters, right? And it's like it's baked. And I don't know if there's cheese on it or something. Whatever. It's gross. Oysters. Oh. I once went to Mike Ditka's restaurant with a party of like 20 people, and they do these oyster shots, and I like where it's like a shot of Tabasco and oyster, and I don't know what the hell else is in there, but they serve them in a shot glass, and you're supposed to toast them and go, and you knock them back. And we were with my buddy Wayne from the Down Under Pub and Grub fame up there in Frisco. Not there anymore, but man, did we have fun there. And for some reason, Wayne always does it up big. And we probably, this table of 20 people, we probably each did 6 oyster shots each. I mean, every time they would come by, more oyster shots. I don't think and it's not like there's alcohol in them. It's like an hors d'oeuvre kind of a deal. Oh boy. And then we did a big night of drinking after that. And I have never been sick. I don't get hungover. I get hungover. I don't puke. I don't puke. I'm very good at maintaining. Oh, that was a rough night. All these oysters and Tabasco. National Oysters Rockefeller Day. If that's your thing, God bless. God bless. Not my thing. And also January 10th today is Save the Eagles Day. Not the band that's currently on tour in 2022. Not the band, the Eagles. This is real Eagles. Real Eagles. Doing my part to save the... I'm a big bald eagle fan. Had a whole bunch of a family of them living in my backyard where I moved from. Eagles. I love eagles. I love bald. Someday, when there's absolutely nothing to talk about, I may show you my eagle photos. That's right. Bald eagles, just like landing right there. Take a picture. They're scavengers, don't you know? They ain't as heroic and wonderful as their brand sort of suggests. They're actually kind of pussies, and they're kind of scavengers. They like to steal food from other birds that do all the work. And in the pecking order of the wetland preserve that I lived on, the bald eagle was the bald eagle would be chased away by seagulls. Seagulls would fight bald eagles and chase them out of the sky if they were fishing down below. Also, blue herons, giant blue herons. Eagles do not want to mess with giant blue herons. So eagles are cool. They're majestic looking and they're awesome, but their behavior is, not so great. All right. So that's what's happening today. We've gotten rid of all the heavy lifting. Let's move into what is happening and what is trending. And of course, it's no surprise to anybody. The number one thing that's trending is Bob Saget. We lost Bob Saget yesterday. That was a massive shock. I'll tell you how shocking the passing of Bob Saget and how impactful it was to me. Met Bob Saget once, interviewed him. Actually, I didn't interview him. He was on the show, same show with Sean Colvin. Came in, sat down, was wonderful. What a nice guy. And back in those days, I judge if you were a nice guy or not. Not if you were good on the air with the host, not if you were friendly to the host, but were you friendly to the producers? Were you friendly to the interns? Did you treat absolutely everybody that was, kind of thrilled to see a television legend like a comedic legend like Bob Saget? How did you treat them? And Bob Saget was really cool. Like he was joking. Everything was a joke. I remember walking him out and he was like, so where we going drinking? Saying that to a stupid intern, you're Bob Saget. Are you serious? Well, he wasn't serious, but he was friendly like that. He was just a really nice guy. And then Kelly and I think we talked to him a couple of times on the phone. I'm not sure if he came in studio. I might be wrong on that because the real memory that I have of being around Bob Saget comes from the Chicago days, because I think it was more. He was one of the first celebrities that I actually liked and enjoyed, who I got to meet, who I got to be around in a, not a fan situation, but just as like a working situation. Okay, I'm the producer here. You're going to be on the show. Here's your headphones. This is what you need. That kind of thing. So that was more impactful. But I know that we talked to him on the phone a couple of times when he was, touring or doing things. Just Bob Saget was found dead in his hotel room in Orlando, Florida last night, 65 years old. And before we talk a little bit about Bob Saget, let's talk about what is happening. What is do you people realize that in a very short span of time, we have lost some of the most beloved people in American cultural history? I mean, I don't know how big Bob Saget was in Yugoslavia, but certainly in America, I mean, why? Just we have lost John Madden, who nobody had anything bad to say about. We lost Betty White. Nobody. I mean, I know when people die, it's like, well, nobody says anything bad about dead people. No, I mean, there are exceptions. There are some people, assholes die all the time. And yes, certainly in death, we try to put on a good spin. We try to, dwell on the positive when someone passes away, because we all know that death looms for all of us. But I'm talking Bob Saget, John Madden, Betty White, Sidney Poitier, Dobie Gillis, Dwayne Hickman, the star of Dobie Gillis, which was an important television show in the early days of television. He died yesterday. I mean, man, let's keep an eye on Tom Hanks. Let's keep an eye on Ron Howard. Let's keep an eye on Dave Grohl, God forbid, Bruce Springsteen, all of these legendarily nice and universally beloved people. I mean, you don't even have to like Foo Fighters music to recognize that Dave Grohl is a wonderful dude, just a really nice guy. How do you, let's just focus on the big four: John Madden, Betty White, Sidney Poitier, and now Bob Saget. I mean, that crosses every possible demographic of American. Everyone, no one has been spared from mourning. No one. John Madden. Okay, let's drill down on him. Any boy or girl who grew up loving football of the last 40 years was devastated when they heard of the passing of John Madden. Betty White. I mean, does it get more beloved than Betty White? Betty White crossed every possible demographic. She touched people as young as 20. She's been around forever. She's always been just a magnificent representative of what a Hollywood star should behave like and act like. We lost her. Sidney Poitier. I mean, certainly an icon and a treasure across the board, but most specifically to Black America. The things that Sidney Poitier contributed to African American culture are just insurmountable, just unbelievable that these people, and these are not people who are like, he's a B-lister. He's, maybe he was an A-lister for a while. These are all A-list beloved American icons. And now last night we get Bob Saget. What do we make of this? Out of nowhere, Bob Saget. No one was expecting Bob Saget to pass away. You gotta follow up John Madden, Betty White, and Sidney Poitier with Bob Saget. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you out of your mind? But okay, first of all, Bob Saget, and we've been seeing this. Was trending last night. It was trending this morning. I mean, look, there are probably 10 different threads trending that concern Bob Saget. Everything from Full House to Bob Saget to what was that movie? What was the movie that he did? Entourage, for crying out loud. Entourage, the HBO series that hasn't been talked about in 5 years, was trending last night because of Bob Saget's work as himself, portraying a hyper cartoonish version of himself on Entourage. That was trending last night. But the one that really I went, I had never really considered that, because maybe it's not necessarily my generation, but America's Dad was trending. Now, Full House, when Full House came on the air, it was the late 1980s, and I was already A young man. I had girlfriends. I was going to parties. I was having fun. I wasn't home on Friday nights to watch kids TV and or family oriented TV, which is what Full House was. There was no edge to it. It was silly. It was but a massive hit. And for the generation just below me, the generation who hadn't yet started going out to parties and all of that, Full House was a staple. Full House to a generation is the Brady Bunch. What the Brady Bunch was to my generation, that or maybe even the Cosby Show or something like that. That's what Full House was to people who are, I don't know, between the ages of 35 and 45, right? I mean, an iconic, impactful, one of the most important television shows to that generation in their history of television. And Bob Saget was Danny Tanner. Bob Saget was the dad. Bob Saget was the star. He described, I saw an interview with him where he was talking about how he got his role on Full House. And he had been asked to do the role. He was a warm-up guy. He was doing warm-ups before another show that would be on. He, where you come out and you warm up the audience with, "Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? You ready for a live taping?" He was that. He was a touring stand-up comic, and he was a warm-up guy. And he had been approached to do this show called Full House, but at the same time, he was approached to do another show. And he wanted to do the other show more. And if you know Bob Saget, you know that, and by what I mean is if you know Bob Saget, I mean, his stand-up comedy. If you know what Bob Saget was like in his stand-up comedy, you could see that he may not be comfortable playing Danny Tanner in Full House. That was a kid-friendly, family-oriented, white-bread American Disney-fied situation comedy. And Bob Saget's humor was anything but that. Bob Saget's whole stand-up bit was that he looked like the all-American, clean-cut dad, good guy, always optimistic, always Mr. Happy, always would never offend. And then he would do his stand-up comedy, and he was vulgar. He was... And that was part of why he was so funny, because you couldn't believe that this man who looked like him it'd be like if Ron Howard came out and started doing the aristocrats joke. It would be very, very hard to take. If you don't know what the aristocrats joke is, just Google it. But my point is, he lost the show that he wanted to do. He ended up, they said, you're not right for it. And then he went back to the Full House people and he said, "Look, I'm suddenly available. Can you still do it?" And they said, "Yeah, we'd love to have you." And boy, oh boy, did he luck out with that, huh? I mean, Full House ran for how many years, became a cornerstone show for ABC during the time it was on the air. Didn't win any awards because it wasn't, Curb Your Enthusiasm or Seinfeld, but ratings blockbuster, moneymaker to end all moneymakers. They had spin-offs. Isn't Full House still on? Didn't they reboot it? Did they reboot it on like Netflix or something recently? I don't know. So he does Full House. That leads to America's Funniest Home Videos. Remember when Bob Saget had two of the highest rated shows on television on Sunday night and on Friday night? I mean, the guy was just a monster. And then he quit America's Funniest Home Videos, and then Full House went off the air. And I think he quit. I believe the story was that he quit America's Funniest Home Videos because he wasn't comfortable with that image. He didn't feel that image of, the Full House dad and the America's Funniest Home Videos, non-offensive Mr. "Oh, let's watch people get kicked in the nuts for a half hour." That was not who he was. He wanted to get back into his comedy and show people what he really was like. And man, oh man, if you get an opportunity to pull up some Bob Saget stand-up comedy on YouTube and you think that he's just the Full House guy, and I'm sure none of you do, because as I said, he's been pretty famous for a lot of years, and we know who Bob Saget is now. I mean, I mentioned Entourage. The character he played a character on Entourage called Bob Saget, who was the host of a show called Full House. So he was playing himself. He was Vinny Chase, the movie star lead. The Entourage was about a movie star, a young movie star, and his friends from home that he takes along for the ride. I believe Bob Saget lived next door in the big mansion, big next to the big movie star. And he was a neighbor. And his character was vulgar. Hey, Bob Saget's on our front porch. Yeah, fuck you. Where's the owner of the house? It's like that's the way he played himself in Entourage. And it was such a contrast to who we thought Bob Saget was that it was hysterical. They go over to his house. They have to go over to Bob Saget, their neighbor's house, and the door opens up, and it is just filled with scantily clad, high-priced escorts just laying around his house. And I believe that's where the term "full house money" came from. He's like, oh, wow. Man, Bob Saget's got it going, doesn't he? That's full house money, bitch. Bob Saget would yell from upstairs. Also, walking around the house at all times with a big bong in his hand, just taking huge bong rips. As Bob Saget was funny. Bob Saget was a funny guy. He liked to play against the type that he was best known for. And last night at 65, he was found dead in his Orlando hotel. Four Seasons. Nice way to go. You got to go in a hotel. Four Seasons is, you could do a lot worse. We don't know what did it. There's a lot of speculation. It's the other thing about Bob Saget that people didn't really understand that he was very open about. Bob liked to party. Bob liked to, Bob was a good time guy. He had some fun, at least in the past. So, one of the first things that was released about his passing from the police down there was that there was no sign of foul play and no obvious drug suspicions. Like there wasn't, a big mound of cocaine or a lot of people who love Bob. These were all of. I'll tell you this, man. Last night on Twitter, when Bob Saget passed away, some of the greatest tributes to Bob Saget were some of the most vulgar jokes tweeted out about his passing. And, normally somebody dies and you say some of the things that people say about you, you'd be like, oh my God, have some taste. The man is dead. But anybody who understood the full picture of who Bob Saget was, that he would have loved it. That's what Bob Saget would have wanted. People joking about him being face down in a whorehouse with a mound of cocaine under his nose. That's the kind of jokes that he would have loved at his expense. So there was a lot of that going around. I'll tell you the thing about him though, the celebrity here. I'll pull this up. Let's see here. So no foul play suspected, no foul play, and at least initially there was no. It wasn't obvious that it could be drugs. But, you think, when a young man like that passes away suddenly and he's a Hollywood star and he's known for being a little bit wild and a little bit crazy, you got to suspect drug. But Bob Saget, 65 years old. I guess I didn't think about that. Bob Saget to me is eternally going to be that 35, 40-year-old guy in the sports coat and the dress shirt. America's dad. He's going to be. So a bunch of people were tweeting out. Here's some of the tributes have been pouring in from celebs, peers, and co-stars all over social media. Some of the big ones or some of them. I don't know if there's some of the big ones because I don't know if I've got all of them here, but I do have some of the important ones. John Stamos, who was one of his closest friends in the entire world. Of course, they starred together on Full House. He played Uncle Jesse, and Bob played Danny Tanner, the dad. Uncle Jesse was helping to raise the kids in Full House. And you almost... they were inseparable. I mean, even anytime you would see Bob Saget in the news doing something, or Bob Saget, it was always just hanging out with his boy, John Stamos. It was Saget and Stamos. They were buddies. They were boys. John Stamos tweeted last night shortly after the news, "I am broken. I am gutted. I am in complete and utter shock. I will never, ever have another friend like him. I love you so much, Bobby." John Stamos. Dave Coulier, also one of the three men in Full House that were on the show. I don't remember who Dave Coulier played. I don't remember that. I'm sorry, but Dave Coulier, it was a three-headed monster. It was three men. It was about three men living in a house raising these little girls. And Bob was the father. Jesse was their dead mother's brother, so he was Uncle Jesse. And then Dave Coulier played the father's best friend. So those are the three men. Dave Coulier said, "My heart is broken. I love you, Bob. Forever your brother, Dave." Candace Cameron Bure, who played his TV daughter, she said, "I don't know what to say. I have no words. Bob was one of the best human beings I've ever known in my life. I love him so much." So these are his co-stars. I haven't seen anything from the Olsens yet. I haven't seen the Olsen twins, but I'm sure that they will have something to say on this. Let's see here. Who is this one? Oh, I'm sorry. Here, this one just came up. Sorry, I just got a new one. Bob was the most loving, compassionate, and generous man. We are deeply saddened that he is no longer with us, but know that he will continue to be by our side to guide us gracefully as he always has, said joint statement by Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. So there you go. His other two daughters, or one daughter. They're the reason they were twins is because you can't make a twin work on a television show for 20 hours a day. So you need two of them. You got to have one that works 8 hours, and then when that one child labor laws and all, then you got to bring in the other one, and that one continues the shoot. So they both work with him. Jon Stewart simply tweeted, "Bob Saget, just the funniest and the nicest." And that is true. That is what I mean by beloved. There was no bad Bob Saget stories floating around in the past 30 years of Bob Saget being a pop culture icon. There just weren't. Everybody who ran into Bob Saget was like, "Oh my God, he was so cool. He was so awesome." He's like Bill Murray. Although I bet you could find people who've had bad experiences with Bill Murray, but not so much for Bob Saget. Actress Kat Dennings added, "Oh God, Bob Saget, the loveliest man. I was his TV daughter for one season, and he was always so kind and protective. I am so sorry for his family's loss." Now, I don't know what was Kat Dennings his daughter on, because she's got a nice little career now as a grown up. I don't remember. Did they trade out a kid on Full House, or did Bob do another sitcom that I'm not familiar with after Full House? Actress Kat Dennings. There you go. Parent Trap star Elaine Hendricks said, "Very sad news to hear about Bob Saget. We actually dated back in the day. He was a nice guy and one of the funniest people I have ever seen on stage. A true comedy giant." Okay, we're just running through some of the tributes to Bob Saget from people. Guy Fieri, the mayor of Taste Town or whatever. I don't watch that show. "Lost a great guy and a dear friend. Rest in peace, my friend Bob." That's from Guy Fieri. Mark Maron, comedian, WTF podcast. Mark Maron says, "Oh no, rest in peace, Bob Saget. Truly one of the nicest guys and so very funny. I am so very sad." Mark Maron. Bob Saget's WTF podcasts are really good. I've heard them. I like WTF, but Bob was kind of a regular with Mark Maron on WTF, and he was very funny. BJ Novak, Ryan from The Office, who had just appeared on Bob's own podcast. I don't know what it was called, just last week. He was just on with Bob last week. BJ Novak tweeted, "I've always and always will love you, Bob Saget." Andy Cohen of Bravo, he had the biggest heart and wore it on his sleeve. He was so generous with his feelings, a true mensch. Eric McCormick of Will and Grace, he would be the Will. He said, "This is just devastating, enough already." How about Amy Schumer? "Bob Saget was really kind, fun to be around, and loved comics more than anyone. I'm donating to," and then some charity, I don't understand what that is, at SRF Cure, San Francisco. I don't know what that is. "A charity very close to his heart. Also, Dirty Work is one of my all-time favorite movies." I guess that was a film that he directed, Amy Schumer. Well, I know the film, but I didn't know he directed it. "I'm so shocked at Bob Saget's passing. One of the most kind and thoughtful people I've ever come across. And he just happened to be one of the funniest people on the planet. I will miss you so much, Bob. Love you, dear friend. I'm so sorry." That's from Joel McHale. And finally, at least in this one, Josh Gad, the actor, says, "There wasn't a kinder person in Hollywood than Bob Saget." I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this. I do not want to believe this. It's all too much to handle. Josh Gad. Interestingly enough about Bob Saget, one of the final Instagram posts that he made, he wasn't wildly active on social media, but he did have an Instagram page and he did have a Twitter page, and I was looking through those just to see some of the final things that he may have tweeted or been writing about. He wrote on his Instagram page the most beautiful tribute to Betty White just a week ago about her passing, and there was some line where he said something to the effect of, I have no idea if there's a heaven or not, but if there is, and I somehow get in, it is my hope that Betty White will be there to greet. It was just so beautiful. It was just so pretty. He actually did a couple posts. One was on Twitter, one was on Instagram, but it was just beautiful stuff. Jim Carrey, the iconic actor himself. Beautiful Bob Saget passed away today at 65. He had a big, big heart and a wonderfully warped comic mind. He gave the world a lot of joy, and he lived his life for goodness sake. You will be missed, Jim Carrey. Let me see if we got a couple other here that are of any interest. I got some other big namers, if you will. Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller. He says, fuck, exclamation point. Saget would have wanted something tweeted that was really funny and in extremely bad taste, but I can't do that. I'm just too sad. Bob was just great on every level, and we will all miss him. Boy. Let's see who else. Anybody else? Our boy Jim Norton, our old friend, Jim Norton. Rest in peace, Bob Saget. Everything I start to write about him just feels inadequate. He is universally loved. I am so grateful he was my friend. Michael McKeon, Lenny of Lenny and Squiggy. He's so much more than Lenny of Lenny and Squiggy. I'm just so old. That's where it comes from. Better Call Saul, Michael McKeon, Spinal Tap, Michael McKeon, just a treasure in his own right. He just simply wrote, I love you, Bob Saget. The Iron Sheik. Look at this. We get about the Iron Sheik, wrestling icon. Bob Saget, you the best dad on the earth. My heart is broken forever. Gilbert Gottfried, in a very, you never expect Gilbert Gottfried to be serious unless you've seen the documentary on Gilbert Gottfried. It's called Gilbert, and I think it's available on Prime. It's terrific. It is. If you love I love Gilbert Gottfried, but if you're a fan of Gilbert Gottfried, you have got to see the documentary Gilbert. It shows you a side of Gilbert Gottfried. Like, the question is, does he always talk like that? No, no, he doesn't. And in this documentary, you see him at home with his wife, with his life, with just a wonderful man. So again, not really common place for Gilbert Gottfried to be serious, but he tweeted, still in shock. I just spoke with Bob a few days ago. We stayed on the phone as usual, making each other laugh. Rest in peace to friend, comedian, and fellow aristocrat, Bob Saget. That's from Gilbert Gottfried. Let's see, do we have anything else here? Okay, yeah, here. This is Bob Saget's final tweet, which was released, today's the 10th. This was on January 9th, the day that he died. It's a picture of him standing on stage at a theater here in Jacksonville, which is where he was performing. He was staying in Orlando, but he had performed Sunday or Saturday night in Jacksonville. And Bob Saget tweeted out, I just loved tonight's show. Appreciative audience. Thank you again to all for opening, or thank you to the opening act, Tim Wilkins. Thanks again to Tim Wilkins for opening. I had no idea I did a 2-hour set tonight. I'm happily addicted again to this shit. He hadn't done stand-up comedy in a while, and he had just re-embarked on a big stand-up comedy tour. So that's what he means by, I had no idea I did a 2-hour set tonight. I'm happily addicted again to this shit. And then there's a picture of him, sort of a selfie with the crowd in the background. So he was feeling good. He was feeling re-energized. He was looking forward. He had a big tour. That certainly will not be happening. So, all right. So what do we say about Bob Saget? You're gonna? I love you, Jennifer. But Robert Durst from Jinx, the HBO show, just died? Really? Well, I'll tell you, Robert Durst was a scumbag, so we ain't gonna waste 1 second of time eulogizing Robert Durst. Fred Durst, maybe, but Robert Durst, no. We're gonna give it. I thank you for that. I didn't see that. That's going through here. So we're still talking about Bob Saget. April Michelle says Brie Larson was another daughter on the show. Never watched it. Oh, what show? I don't. Raising Dad, 2001. Okay, so that's what the show was. I didn't. Dave Coulier was Uncle. Yeah, but he was Uncle. He was Joey, but he wasn't an uncle. April. He wasn't a blood uncle. He was. I remember that. He was his friend. He was Danny Tanner's friend. But I guess the kids would call him. I mean, my kid calls Uncle E. So they ain't really uncle. Let's see what else do we got here. Read some of the chats. Some of what you have to say about the passing of Dave Coulier. Raising Dad 2001. That's the show that Kat Dennings was on, and apparently, so was Brie Larson on that show. Dave was Uncle Joey. We got that. The Fuller House series ended. Okay, so that was the reboot, Fuller House, and that ended. Channel 9 mentions Peter Bogdanovich also died recently. But Peter Bogdanovich, love him. I'm a big fan of his movies. I love Texas. I even love Texasville, Last Picture Show. They All Laughed, which is one that almost nobody saw. I mean, Paper Moon. Come on, What's Up, Doc? I love Peter Bogdanovich, but you can't put Peter Bogdanovich in a list with John Madden, Betty White, Sidney Poitier, and Bob Saget. You just can't, as much as I'd like to. Maybe a lesser division. Maybe maybe a AAA beloved American cultural contributors that passed away. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that I want to say about Bob Saget? Other than why are all of our best being stolen? Why not best? Why are all of our best? Why are all of our most beloved? What a bummer way to start the new year. And I know technically Betty White died in 2021, but she died on New Year's Eve. It's like this is how we're going to end one year and John Madden died a few days before that. And I know it didn't count towards 2022, but man, we're talking about what, a 2-week period now where we've had all of these major passings of significantly important people in different areas of America. We got sports, we got film, we've got TV. My goodness. Also, I could play some clips, some Bob Saget clips and all of that kind of stuff. And, just to give examples of his vulgarity and how funny he was playing against type. But I don't really want to do that today. So we'll move on. But Bob Saget has passed away, and the world is not as good a place. The world is taking a big hit with good people the last couple of days, the last couple of weeks for sure. Also trending today. All right. Hey, Pugs, you seem like a real happy guy today. How about this? The Bronx fire is trending. Bronx fire. Terrible, terrible fire in the Bronx, New York. Yesterday claimed 19 people, half of which are children. High-rise apartment fire. What can you say? Other than, this is the second major apartment fire killing over a dozen people on the East Coast in a week. Philadelphia had that terrible row house fire just last Thursday, I want to say, where a whole bunch of kids were killed again, apartment in the middle of the night. I guess is my mom. I talked to my mom last night, and she told me it was like below zero in Chicago. So I imagine it's cold all up and down the East Coast as well. So maybe, as the weather gets cold, people start heating their houses with ovens. That's just terrible. You know what? I also wanted to mention this. Why does everything, everything has to be made political, right? Why? Why do we? I was reading stuff about the Bronx fire, and one of the things that was trending was lib cities, like in the consensus among people in this thread was that the Philadelphia fire that killed all these kids and the New York City fire that killed all of these kids, that they occurred because they occurred in liberal cities, in cities where there are Democrats in charge. And I guess, if you scroll through hashtags and get your news from Facebook and you don't really think much and you're just looking for things. See, here's what happens. People see what other people say and then they just repeat it because it sounds good and it supports whatever pre-thought ideas they have on a subject. Like, I don't really want to think about how to fight against the Democrats, but I'm on team this, and this person on Twitter said this, so I'm just going to repeat it. Like, so all of these people were just going on and on about liberal cities, and I'm like, you guys, we're just a couple of months removed from when a Surfside, Florida building collapsed. There wasn't even a fire. Stop making everything political. I don't remember going on and on about the Surfside building collapse and go, well, it's because it's a red state. Stop it. I mean, these are tragedies. These tragedies occur anywhere. Well, we don't have these kinds of problems in, North Dakota. Well, no, of course, because you don't have high-rise apartment buildings in North Dakota. It's not the same kind of situation. But just stop it with the liberal cities bullshit. And that's why the Bronx fire occurred. Because I remember crap tons of people in the middle of the night waking up dead because their building just collapsed. Again, no fire, no bombing, no nothing, just a building collapsed. And that was in Florida. So stop it. We don't need to do one-upsmanship on this stuff. Tragedy, though. This worst fire in the city of New York in 30 years. The fire in Philadelphia was the worst one there, I want to say, in like 20 years. So, man, this is some weird stuff that's going on. All right, also trending today is, hey, let's get local, shall we? Shall we get a little bit local here to Texas? This is a crazy story. All right, we'll get a little bit lighter now. We got all the bad stuff out of here. Bad mom was trending. And so I plucked this little story. I wanted to talk about this. Bad mom. This woman is a school teacher. This is a bad mom. This woman teaches our children. Comes out of Houston, or at least Harris County. Here's the story. Absolutely insane. A Texas mother faces child endangerment charges after forcing her 14-year-old son to ride in the trunk of her car to get a COVID test at a drive-through site. Sarah Beam, 42 years old, from the Cypress Fairbanks area near Houston, allegedly packed the teen in the trunk as she drove to the testing site at Ken Pridgeon Stadium. After he tested positive for the virus on January 3rd, she wanted to get a second test. Cypress Fairbanks ISD Police Department issued a warrant for her arrest Friday. Police said Beam pulled to the giant tent set up on Falcon Road when Bevan Gordon, the health services director at the site, heard a noise coming from inside the trunk. Mama Bean, teacher, who has worked in the Cy Fair District as a school teacher since 2011, told Gordon that her son had tested positive for the virus and had to be quarantined. So she stuck him in the trunk. She told Gordon she placed him in the trunk in order to protect herself from the virus and wanted to get him an additional test. Police did not say whether the mom or her unidentified son were vaccinated. When she popped the trunk, the site's director found the boy laying down inside the vehicle and told Beam she could not receive a COVID-19 test until the boy was seated safely inside the vehicle. Surveillance footage obtained by Cy-Fair ISD PD reportedly showed the 14-year-old exiting the trunk and climbing into the back seat. Let's see here. The teen was not harmed during the incident. Cy-Fair ISD spokeswoman Leslie Francis said in a statement, Beam recently works as a teacher in the district, but she is currently on administrative leave. Probably good. Probably due to this, I would guess. Harris County currently has 100,000 COVID cases with a 7-day average of 10. Now, okay, then we don't even care about that. But man, I mean, could you imagine being that? You're a mom, okay? So my kid had COVID. Okay, now he didn't have it when he was with me. He had it when he was with his mom. But thankfully, my son's mother is not such an idiot that you would make him ride in the trunk of the car. He stayed in his room. They stayed away. They wore masks inside the house when they were around him. They cleaned everything constantly. This idiot thought, well, I didn't want to get sick, so I just made my son ride in the trunk of the car. Now, maybe, Pugs, that's not that big of a deal. No, it is. It is. It's a really big deal. It's incredibly dangerous. It's not something you should subject your child to. If you are concerned about catching COVID from your son who has tested positive, then have him wear a mask and you wear a mask and just do all of the things that you're told to do and hope for the best. And you know what? If you get it, it's your kid. Don't make him ride in the trunk. I would take a bullet for my kid. I would die for my child, as I am sure most of you would as well. This woman didn't want to catch whatever it was. Well, then get vaccinated. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Don't want to get into that. But there you go. That's why bad mom is trending. Let's see what else is trending today. Oh, we got a beef recall. Beef recall. Ground beef sold at Walmart, Kroger, Albertsons, and a whole bunch of other places is being recalled because of E. coli. There's an E. coli contamination. Here's the good news for the bulk of the people who are tuning in and checking out the show. They're checking us out from either Texas or Illinois. Neither of those states are affected. But it is like that. Oh, the much maligned pink slime. The pink slime meat that comes in the tube. That's you pour it out of the tube, you squeeze it like a toothpaste roll, and it's ground beef, and it's got that magnificent, unnatural color of red, and you're supposed to go, oh, that's because it's raw ground beef. No, that's coloring. They just added the crazy coloring so we'd all think it's real meat. But let me tell you something about the pink slime. Got no problem with it. I'll make a hamburger. Pink slime makes fine hamburgers. You just season it. What are you worried about? E. coli, Pugs. Did you not just tell it? Well, okay, aside from E. coli and that sort of thing, pink slime burgers are made out of pink slime is perfectly fine. What do you think McDonald's hamburgers look like? Look, Pugs, I worked at McDonald's. They're frozen patties. Yeah, I know. So did I. And they're frozen patties. But what do you think they look like at the McDonald's plant? It's like slime. It just comes out, and then they shape it and they freeze it and they box it, and then they get to your McDonald's and then they got these frozen patties. But come on, man, we eat that crap all the time. Stop being so provincial about your meat. And it's real inexpensive. It's really good. You get like a big tube of pink slime. Got a bunch of people coming over. You want to make hamburgers for them? Get the pink slime. First of all, nobody's going to ask. Like, nobody's going to be like, is this pink slime? Just cook it. And you just burn it on the grill anyway. Every hamburger you've ever had on a grill wasn't cooked the way you wanted it unless you like it burnt, because that's typically how, stop it, you folks. All right, so there's a ground beef recall, but it's not really affecting us. Seems like it's affecting mostly northwestern states at the moment, but we'll see. With these recalls, there's always like rolling adjustments made to the places where you have to worry about. But it's meat sold at Walmart, Kroger, Albertsons. And those are the big ones that they're naming here. All right, Black Monday is trending. It is Black Monday in NFL circles. That is the day when most football coaches, general managers, upper management, whatever it is, get blown out for having terrible seasons. Hold on. Mr. Popular. Let's see what's happening. All right. Sorry. I'm getting texts. Those are all texts regarding Black Monday. And look at this. We are talking about Black Monday. All right. So a number of NFL football coaches have been blown out. The pole sitter for this year's Black Monday events was Vic Fangio, coach of Denver. He was blown out on Saturday. 3 years there, 19-30 record. You can understand that. But Vic Fangio probably got fired at like noon on Saturday, and he's probably got 30 job offers now. Maybe not for head coach, but Vic Fangio is I would say that he is the premier defensive coordinator in the NFL at the moment. I mean, that's why he became a head coach. Vic Fangio has never check this out. Vic Fangio has never been coordinator of a defense that wasn't an NFL top 10 defense. He's done it. Even on the team he just got blown out of, the Denver Broncos. He built a top 10 defense in Denver. San Francisco 49ers, the years, back when they were going to the Super Bowl with Kaepernick and Jim Harbaugh. He was Jim Harbaugh's coordinator. They had the number one defense in the NFL. A couple of years ago with the Chicago Bears, he built an absolutely monstrous number one defense in the NFL with the Chicago Bears. His defense was so good that got him the head coaching job in Denver. And now he's gone after 3 years. So look, there's going to be teams, a lot of turnover this year in the NFL. A lot of new coaching staffs are going to come in. Vic Fangio will be one of the highest paid defensive coordinators. And I don't know that he'll get another shot as a head coach because Vic's old. Vic's, an older gentleman. So maybe he's like, okay, I did it. I got my taste of the big job. He's like, now I'm going to go back and be a really high paid defensive coordinator. Or you go to college. You probably go to college and make one of them $100 million kind of deals in college. College coaches are getting paid more than pro coaches. And I know it's been that way. Pugs, it's been that way for years. No, I know, but it's also a tougher job. Now I say that Vic Fangio is one of the probably the top defensive coordinator in the entire NFL. Mike Zimmer of the Minnesota Vikings was blown out. Mike Zimmer, 72-56-1 record in all of his years there in Minnesota. He's another one. He's probably, if you're talking about Vic, if you don't get Vic Fangio because Vic Fangio went somewhere else, snatch up Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer is one hell of it. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, head coach at Minnesota for a number of years. I remember when Mike Zimmer was here in Dallas as defensive coordinator of the Cowboys about 10 years ago. Zimmer's another baller. The one that's got nearest and dearest to my heart is that nice guy Matt Nagy. Nice guy. Nice guy. Matt Nagy's a nice guy. There's nobody saying Bob Saget passed away. We talked about how everybody says wonderful things about him. Matt Nagy, head coach of the Chicago Bears, my Chicago Bears, blown out today. Oh, apparently upper management with the Chicago Bears heard Bear Nation's. Oh, God, we've been just calling for it. Please. Matt Nagy is a wonderful guy. His players love playing for him. He is a player's coach. They adore him. People adore him. Matt Nagy is a really nice guy. And apparently we need an asshole. It's not like I'm not being snarky about this. This is not snarkasm. This is actual serious. Matt Nagy had to go. I've been claiming that Matt Nagy had to go since he ruined Mitchell Trubisky 2 years ago. I don't care that he had an overall winning record, 34-31 in 4 years with the Bears. He could not. He was supposed to have been an offensive genius. He was the guy that worked with Patrick Mahomes. He was the guy that was with Andy Reid. He was Andy Reid's offensive mind. He was the heir apparent to the brilliance of the Andy Reid. And he sucked. He had the lowest ranked the offensive genius had the lowest ranked offense in the league. Actually, that's not true, but it was like one of the lowest ranked offenses in the league. He's not a good teacher. He ruined Mitchell Trubisky. It's like people were like, oh, Mitchell Trubisky sucks. Mitchell Trubisky sucks. Mitchell Trubisky sucks. And then pretty soon it became, wait, hold on, wait. Maybe it's Matt Nagy who sucks. And that's what I've been saying for like a year and a half. Look, jury is still out on Mitchell Trubisky. We don't know. I saw some flashes from that kid. That kid's got supreme athleticism. That can't be denied. But what also can't be denied is that Matt Nagy is a terrible offensive coach. So Matt Nagy's gone. Also, Ryan Pace gone, the general manager of Chicago Bears. Thank you. We are clearing house. We're making room for Jim Harbaugh and reuniting him with Vic Fangio. We're going to get our defensive coordinator back. A boy can dream is all I'm saying. Let's see who else. This is the one that nobody can quite understand. And this has spawned a number of companion threads today trending with Black Monday. And that is the Dolphins. The Dolphins fired Brian Flores. Brian Flores was 10-6 last year. The Dolphins were a dumpster fire, for a number of years. Brian Flores surprised everybody, 10-6 last year. He won 7. Now, granted, he had a very bad start to the season this year, but he won 7 in a row. I mean, imagine being a coach, you win 7 in a row. You rattle off 7 consecutive wins and you sweep your most hated rival, the New England Patriots. He swept the Patriots this year. The Patriots are in the playoffs. They're a good game. He won 7 games in a row, and he swept the Patriots, and he's now fired, which, as I said, there are some companion pieces floating around because, of course, he's a black guy, and black coaches don't tend to get the same kind of leeway as white coach. And I don't know if it's true or not. I do know that our black coach with the Chicago Bears, Lovie Smith, was fired after a 10-6 season and taking the team to the Super Bowl a couple of years before. And apparently 10-6 wasn't worth it. And he was blown out for a guy by the name of Mark Trestman. Remember Mark Trestman? Of course you don't, because he was awful, but he was at least, he was given a shot over Lovie Smith. So the big discussion going on, black coaches, is also trending because they're saying that they need to hire some black coaches. Jim Caldwell is another one that they're talking about. Jim Caldwell, who's the only coach in probably the last 50 years of the Detroit Lions' existence to take them to the playoffs on multiple occasions. I mean, at least it's Wayne Fonts. I think Wayne Fonts was maybe the last guy. And then Jim Caldwell comes in and he just totally turns around the Detroit Lions and then has one bad season and he's gone. He's out the door. And then they've had like 4 or 5 coaches since then. Detroit is a dumpster fire, although they seem to like Campbell, who's there now. So, yeah, there's this whole thread going on about black NFL coaches and everything from, they're talking about after the game tonight, Nick Saban might come back into the NFL because of a number of job openings that are happening. And, what is Nick Saban? Nick Saban is like dominant. He's proven his point. He is the greatest college football coach of our era, for sure. I don't know where he stands. I'm not a big Bama fan. I'm not necessarily even an appreciator of the SEC. It's not my thing. I don't know where he stands at the school with Paul Bryant. I'd have to look that up. But, he wins another national championship tonight, and they're saying that the one mark on Nick Saban's career is his dalliance with the NFL in Miami a couple of years ago, where he saw the dumpster fire that was happening and then suddenly just quit his head coaching job in the NFL and went back to college. And that's what he did with Alabama. But now that he has rebuilt Alabama into one of the most powerful college football programs in history, it cannot be denied. If they win again tonight, it just cannot be denied that he has done an never before seen job with turning around the Alabama Crimson Tide since he's taken them over. And that the one thing on his resume that he may be interested in doing is going back into the NFL. He's getting to be a little bit older. He doesn't need to deal with the recruiting. He doesn't need more money. He's got all the money in the world. He's set for life. He's got generational wealth, but he is Lou Saban's son. And his dad was a pro football coach, and he may see re-entering the NFL at this time as a good opportunity. And look, there are jobs out there for Nick Saban. There are major market jobs. There are big cities. He could go back to Miami, where maybe he feels he's got unfinished business. It looks like. Well, actually, it doesn't. I was going to say New York, but it looks like the New York Giants are going to keep Joe Judge. So it doesn't seem that there's going to be an opening in Market 1. But there's certainly an opening in Chicago where they have blown out their GM. They would give the whole franchise to Nick Saban. They would say, you can be the guy. You can be what Belichick is in Boston. I guess New England is but in Boston, you can be what Bill Belichick is there. The Raiders, who wouldn't love to work for that franchise right now? I mean, they're in Vegas. So there are opportunities. There are people who think that Nick Saban might be jumping back in. We'll have to see if he wins tonight. It'll probably be all talked about tomorrow, the future of Nick Saban. But of all of these types of coaches who are out there, the Jim Harbaughs, the Nick Sabans, I mean, all of the big names that are being talked about to get new jobs in the NFL, very few of them are black guys. You still got coaches like Eric Bieniemy, who has been sitting around waiting for a head coaching position for a decade now. Eric Bieniemy, who is the current offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, who's obviously doing something right because that Chiefs offense is pretty great. Eric Bieniemy is one. Leslie Frazier, who is with the Buffalo Bills. Leslie Frazier was now Leslie Frazier. He's already had a cup of coffee in the NFL. I think that he was head coach of the Minnesota Vikings a little over a decade ago, and it didn't go so well. But that's okay. He was a younger man. It was his first shot. He has now proven, that he's a winner as far as being a coordinator, and it's coordinators who get jobs. Kellen Moore here in Dallas. Kellen Moore is going to go. I mean, these are all. Kellen Moore is not. What I'm saying is Kellen Moore is another one of the white guys who are being talked about, whereas they seem to be usurping the line of all of these other people. And that's the point of the black coaches threat. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying when you look at it, yeah, it does look like there are a whole lot of black coaches who are being sort of cast to the side. They keep mentioning Jim Caldwell, who I mentioned again, who was a one-time coach of the Detroit Lions, who was a great coach. Lovie Smith, they mentioned him as well. Another guy who's been nothing but successful, but nobody will talk to him. They're all more interested in luring Jim Harbaugh and Nick Saban out of college rather than give Eric Bieniemy a job or Leslie Frazier or whatever. Okay, so that's Black Monday. Black Monday and black coaches are both trending side by side. Let's see what else we have here. The stock market is tanking. How's the stock market doing right now? The reason it was trending, this is going back a couple hours. Yeah, Gad. Yeah, it's still it's tanking. It ain't that bad. It's down 249 right now. So stock market's down about 249 points. See how that goes. Bitcoin is trending. Well, let's check my Bitcoin. Those of you who watch this show every day, you know that I've recently become a Bitcoin guy. So let's see how we're doing. I haven't looked at it all weekend. Now, I started 714, okay? And then the last time I checked over the weekend, I was at 667. So we were down. We were down on Friday from 714 to 667. Let's see where we are now. Oh, boy. Okay, Bitcoin. Let's pull that up. Oh, my God. We're tanking. Bitcoin is tanking. Bitcoin, get off the Bitcoin train. We're down to 640. We're down to 640. And it is plummeting. I'm looking at the week-to-week graph here that shows up when I pull it up. Yeah, this looks not good. This looks like the bottom of the ocean. Have you ever seen those scans of the bottom of the ocean where you see those divots? It's okay, so that's not good. Stock market and Bitcoin, both of them having a rough go of it right now. The Golden Globes were held last night. Pugs, I thought you were like one of these weird guys who loves the award shows. I do, but award shows aren't what award shows once were. Award shows are completely different now. I didn't even know. I had no clue that the Golden Globes were on. Here's how I learned. Last night, just doing a little bit of pre-prep, just looking and seeing what's trending, what's happening, what I should prepare for today, getting all caught up on the Bob Saget sadness and all of that. I stumbled across a Ricky Gervais thread where Ricky Gervais was talking about what's happening with award shows. Because if you remember, Ricky Gervais was for a number of years, he was the host of the Golden Globes, and he was so good. Well, I think Ricky Gervais is just great anyway, but he was so good on the Golden Globes as a host because he hates celebrities. Even though he is a celebrity, he was so mean. He would just call people out, and he had the most biting jokes for each celebrity. And people were basically, the story that he was talking about was when he first did the Golden Globes, he came out and he just waylaid everybody that he saw in the audience, just trashed them. And people were like, you can't do that. How dare you speak to Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson in such a manner? And he said, I thought I'd never work again. I thought they were, and then they called me and they're like, no, we want you to do that now all the time. And Ricky Gervais had a very interesting reason for why he felt his style of hosting the Golden Globes was so popular. I think it's popular just because he's a funny guy, and I love when humor. I love the punch up. I don't like the punching down, but when you can just tear Brad Pitt a new one, that's a punch up. I like that. That's fun. Hitting people who are up there, not striking at people who are down there, but the punching up. And that's what he was doing. He was punching up at these big stars. And he said the reason it was so popular is because people, and he's putting himself in this category, We are so sick of celebrity virtue signaling. And I'm absolutely right. He is absolutely right. I could not agree more. That is one of the great advantages that the Fox Newses have leaned into as far as their ongoing culture war. It is the idea, first of all, the idea that all celebrities are liberals, which is not true. Most of the big ones, and the ones with talent anyway, are. You got your Scott Bayos and your Kevin Sorbos and what Kirstie Alley. You got those. But if you're talking about, your big movie stars, your big bankable, credible stars, they're mostly liberal. And as Ricky Gervais points out, it's their virtue signaling. And he said, people got a little bit sick and tired of guys who get dressed up in tuxedos to win gold awards at back patting ceremonies, which is what these things are. These ceremonies are just to pat themselves on the back about how great they are. Climbing out of limos, being taken from their $10 million homes. People were just getting sick of these people lecturing about recycling. It's like people are like, not only recycling, you know what I mean? That's just an example of one of these sort of virtue signalings that these people do. And he said, for that reason that his punching up at these celebrities became so popular, because people were sitting at home. People are jealous. And it's, I don't even know that it's jealousy. It's just more like, how dare you speak to me about how I should be living my life? My life is nothing like your life. And that's sort of what he was saying. And just a great thing, just a great observation that's why we sort of all love it when we get to tear down a celebrity, because when push comes to shove, they try to talk down to us. They try and virtue signaling, which I just cannot stand. So the Golden Globes were last night. There was no host. I didn't even know it wasn't on TV. I don't even know that it was on TV. It just happened. And it's probably the first time that I've missed the Golden Globes since, well, probably last year, because I don't know if there was a Golden Globes last year during the pandemic. I have no idea. But here you go. So we'll run through the full list of winners, at least the big ones. The Golden Globes, by the way, are the award shows. They've always been my favorite award shows. And here's why the Golden Globes have always been my favorite. Because they combine both movies and TV. So the awards are for both. So it's like the Oscars and the Emmys come together. Pugs, that can't be the only reason. It's not the only reason it's my favorite. The Golden Globes is the awards ceremony that follows a dinner. Whereas with all of the other ones, it's just in the theater and people are sitting in seats. No, this is like a banquet hall. There's tables. People are drunk. People have just eaten to their bottles of wine and champagne everywhere. People get wild at the Golden Globes. Well, at least historically. I don't know about that anymore because, as I said, I don't even think it was on TV. Or maybe it was. I don't know. Was it on network? Is network TV still a thing? Who cares? There was no host. There was nothing like that. But the Golden Globes historically have always been the most fun of the award shows for that reason. So here you go. Let's just run through some of the quick ones. Best television series, musical or comedy. The great Only Murders in the Building, Reservoir Dogs, and defending champion Ted Lasso. The winner, Hacks. Oh, man. You know what? If it couldn't have been Lasso... And Only Murders in the Building was great too, but Only Murders in the Building isn't in the same league as Hacks and Ted Lasso. If you have not yet seen Hacks, you need to see it. Look, it's now got series of the year. It's now the best comedy series as awarded by the Golden Globes. Hacks stars Gene Smart and I can't think of the girl's name. Hannah Einbinder. It's Gene Smart and Hannah Einbinder. Hannah Einbinder is Lorraine Newman's daughter. Lorraine Newman from the original Saturday Night Live. So the premise of Hacks is it was supposed to be based on Joan Rivers. And Joan Rivers was involved in the creation of the show, but then she died suddenly, like, I don't know, a long time ago, and it got shelved. And so nobody was just sitting around. And then finally they rebooted. They said, you know what, this is still a great idea. Even if it can't be the Joan Rivers thing, it can still be. And Gene Smart plays a Joan Rivers type comedian, ceiling busting, trailblazing female comedian who is now in the last, not last, but, the elder part of her career. And she is living in Vegas, and she has one of these residencies where she makes all of this money for just going and doing a show at this fancy casino 3 nights a week. And she gets paid. And she's basically told at some point that she's a hack. That's why the show is called Hacks. And so she tries to reinvent her act by hiring a young, snarky, millennial, not even millennial, Gen Z, probably Gen Z writing partner who comes in and punches up her act. Jean Smart plays the Joan Rivers role, and Hannah Einbinder, the daughter of Lorraine Newman, plays the young female comedy writer who comes in and sort of punches up her act. It's available on HBO. If you have HBO or HBO Max, I suggest that you start watching it now. Hacks season 2, I believe, is coming within the next couple of months. It is truly a funny, great show. And Jean Smart is a goddamn national treasure. Jean Smart is so good. She is so great in Hacks. So good. I'm glad that Hacks won. I love Ted Lasso. You know that. But honestly, if Ted Lasso couldn't win, I want Hacks to win. Best television series drama: Lupin, The Morning Show, which is really good, Squid Game, Pose, and the winner, Succession. Thank you, folks. Succession, my favorite television show on TV. Succession is my favorite show, and I believe that Succession, and this is quite high praise, I would say that Succession is my favorite HBO show of all time. What? What did he say? Better than The Sopranos, better than The Wire, better than Game of Thrones, better than Boardwalk Empire. Yeah, Succession is that good. Succession is so good. It's funny, when Game of Thrones ended, I was a big Game of Thrones fan. When Game of Thrones ended, and I felt the same way about when The Sopranos ended. When those shows ended on HBO, it's like I'm depressed because I'm like, man, okay, so now they don't have any really great shows anymore. Here comes Succession. And I'm like, all right, now we got Succession. I love Succession. So congratulations. They've won again. This is like the second or third year in a row. I don't know what it is, but Succession, they've won before. Best actor in a television series drama. Let's see. You got Brian Cox for Succession. You got Lee Jong-jae for Squid Game. You got Billy Porter for Pose, Omar Sy for Lupin, and your winner, who is doing the best acting on television at the moment, Jeremy Strong for Succession. Jeremy Strong, who plays the eldest brother in this family of billionaires. He plays Kendall Roy. He is doing some of the greatest acting on television. This guy is amazing. He plays a rich, silver spoon, poser, drug addict, loser, but how much of a loser can you be if you've got like $4 billion in a trust fund? I mean, if he didn't have $4 billion in a trust fund, he'd be a crackhead hanging out in a homeless person's mission. But God, he is so good. Best actress in a television series: Uza Aduba for In Treatment, Jennifer Aniston, The Morning Show, Christine Baranski, The Good Fight, Elizabeth Moss, The Handmaid's Tale, and your women, Michaela J. Rodriguez for Pose. Don't have any take on that because I haven't seen that. Let's see here. Best actress in a comedy series, winner Jean Smart, Hacks. We won't waste our time with the rest of them, but Jean Smart, Hacks. I talked about Hacks a couple of seconds ago. HBO, it's right there. HBO Max or HBO. If you haven't seen Hacks, Jean Smart is a damn treasure. I've told you this. She is so fun as this Joan Rivers-esque comedian in her later years, trying to reinvent her comedy style for the new, audiences. And, does she do it or does she not do it? I don't know. You got to see it. And it's not like, a stupid sitcom. It's an HBO sitcom. So it's, it'll make you cry. It's good. It is just good quality TV. So Hacks won for Best Show, and Jean Smart has won for Best Actress in a Show. So Best Actor in a Television Series Comedy, Jason Sudeikis, Ted Lasso. You can't give it to anybody else. I don't care. Martin Short, Only Murders in the Building. Steve Martin, Only Murders in the Building. They canceled each other out. They canceled each other out. Anthony Anderson for Blackish and Nicholas Hoult for The Great. Jason Sudeikis. Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso himself wins again. Again, I don't know how many years now this is, but it seems like Ted Lasso wins a lot. Jason Sudeikis is really building up his trophy room, and good for him, because that is a tremendous character he has created. The character of Ted Lasso isn't just a funny character. It is a character that is literally, through the way he performs and portrays this person, trying to change the world, trying to change the way people see the world, trying to change the way people wake up in the morning, and instead of being in a bad mood, be in a Ted Lasso mood. He's Flanders, basically, from The Simpsons. If you remember, he's Flanders without the preachy religious stuff and the creepiness, but that is essentially Heidi-do, he's Mr. Upbeat, Mr. Happy. Good for him. Jason Sudeikis, like I said, man, he's had a rough year, had his heart broken when that hussy Olivia Wilde ran off with that Harry Styles guy and left him high and dry, even though they got 2 kids. And what did he do in his depression? What did he do in his sadness? He created the character of Ted Lasso. Pugs, he created that character a long time before. Yes, but the way he implements the character, it has a lot to do with what he went through. So I'm so glad for Jason Sudeikis. Who doesn't love Jason Sudeikis? Hey, 2022, you better not. Hands off Ted Lasso. Hands off, Jason Sudeikis. You son of a... This is not starting out well. 2022 is on notice. Best limited series or TV show. I was hoping Dope Sick would win. It did not. Mayor of Easttown was another one I thought could win. The winner for Best Limited Series or TV Movie was The Underground Railroad. Best Actress in the Limited Series, Kate Winslet for Mayor of Easttown. Very good series. Not great. Very good. Entertaining. You can binge the whole thing. It's worth it. Kate Winslet is terrific. But when does Kate Winslet suck? She really doesn't. She's one of these English actresses that's really good. So... but she's not playing like in English. It's not a Mayor of Easttown. It's not one of these. It's not like some Jane Austen adaptation. She plays a kind of a dirtbag cop in, is it Pennsylvania? Yeah, it's somewhere in like rural Pennsylvania, Easttown, Pennsylvania. Her name is Mare, and it's good. It's good. You'll enjoy it. Best actor in a limited series or TV movie, Michael Keaton for Dope Sick, which is good. I wanted Paul Bettany for WandaVision, but I kind of figured Michael Keaton for Dope Sick was going to win that. Best supporting actress in a series, limited series, or TV movie. My girl, Shiv Roy from Succession. Congratulations. Another Succession win. Sarah Snook, the actress who plays Shiv Roy on Succession. Best supporting actor in a series, limited series, or TV movie. Oh Young-soo, Squid Game. I watched Squid Game, but I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Best motion picture. Here we go. Let's get into the movie stuff. Best motion picture drama. The winner was Power of the Dog. Now, I haven't seen this, but it's available. Power of the Dog is what's his name? I can't think of his name. If you watch Friday Night Lights, Landry, the kid, he's a grown man now. The kid who played Landry on Friday Night Lights, he's like an awesome actor. He sort of looks like Matt Damon's uglier little brother. That's how I would describe Landry, or the guy. What is his name? I can't call him Landry because he's too good. He's too good, and he's married to Kirsten Dunst, and they star in this together. I think it's on Netflix. Power of the Dog. Best motion picture. It beat Belfast. It beat Coda. It beat Dune. It beat King Richard. So these are typically the movies that you need to be looking for when the Oscar nominations come out, because oftentimes the Golden Globes have been a foreshadowing of what's going to happen at the Oscars. So Power of the Dog, I didn't really, it's a Western. I'm all Westerned out. I just ran through the entire series run of Yellowstone, and I've started watching 1883, the first, which is a spinoff of a prequel to Yellowstone. And that's very Western oriented. So every time I see Power of the Dog, I'm like, can I take on another Western? Oh my God. But apparently I'm going to have to, because it won. Power of the Dog won for Best Motion Picture. And again, I think it's Netflix, might be Prime, could be Hulu. I don't know. Pretty sure it's Netflix. Check it out. Just Google it. You'll find it. Power of the Dog, winner for Best Motion Picture. Oscars in its future. Best motion picture, musical, or comedy? West Side Story. Spielberg's West Side Story. I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to see it. Sorry, I don't care. I have ample opportunity to go to the movies now, and I will not be going to see West Side Story. You know, I went to a movie. Speaking of, I went to a movie this Saturday with my kid, me and my boy. We went over to the Angelica, the Angelica at 75 and Mockingbird. You know, over there by Mockingbird Station. Oh, what an area that is. What a great, and the Angelica. Man, movie theaters are not what they were when movie theaters are. Let me tell you a story. Let me digress a little bit from these winners and we'll get back into them. I had my movie going experience where I had not been in a movie theater since seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp. 3 years ago. Hadn't been in a movie theater since seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp with my son. I only go to movie theaters now with my son because movies are just, I would rather just watch them at home. I would rather, I find it's easy. Well, first of all, it's less expensive. But I mean, I would rather just, be able to watch a movie in bed, in my underwear and enjoy it that way. I can pause it. I can go to the bath, that kind of thing. So I had not been to a movie theater in a very long time. So we go on Saturday afternoon. It's rainy. It's kind of cold. So we're like, let's go to a movie. And we see Spider-Man. It's not far from No Way Home. Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie. My kid was dying. I said, please take me to see. I'm the only kid in my class that hasn't seen Spider-Man. And I'm like, dude, okay, we'll go see this. But do I need to see Spider-Man Far From Home? Like, do I need to see the prequel, the movie that was made before this one? No, you don't have to do that. Well, I'm glad that I did. I said, yeah, okay, whatever. So I ended up watching Saturday afternoon Spider by myself. Just by myself, trying to rip through it. I ended up watching Spider-Man Far From Home, and then we went to the movies and we saw Spider-Man No Way Home. And we sat down, the movie starts, and I turned to him and I go, why did you tell me I didn't need to see the first one? Because I didn't want you to say that we couldn't go if you hadn't seen it. I didn't think that you were just going to watch it. I'm like, well, I'm glad I did, because Spider-Man No Way Home picks up literally the second Spider-Man Far From Home ends. It's like the ending of Spider-Man Far From Home is the beginning of Spider-Man No Way Home. And if you don't know what has happened in the previous 2 hours, I'd be asking questions. So I did that. I did some Spider-Man heavy lifting, and I'm not a big Spider-Man guy. I'm a Marvel guy, but I'm not like of the Marvel movies. I'm not a Spider-Man fan. My son is. My son's favorite Marvel character is Spider-Man. So that's why I'm taking it for the team. That's why I decided to get into it. Okay, you like Spider-Man? I'm open-minded. I think he's a bit of a puss, but okay, we'll get into it. Folks, Spider-Man No Way Home is great. It is so good. I liked it. First of all, Far From Home was good. I enjoyed Far From Home. I watched it before we went. I fast forward through a lot of the girlfriend stuff, the Zendaya stuff or whatever. I didn't really need all that. But it's just great. So and it's so funny. The Spider-Man No Way Home is so funny. And, it takes place in like a multiverse where Spider-Men from different eras are all being blasted into this new, like Tom Holland. Tom Holland plays Spider-Man now. But, Tobey Maguire was my Spider-Man from like 20 something years ago. Tobey Maguire's in this as Spider-Man. He gets blasted in from a different multiverse. And he's like, who are you? He's like, I'm Peter Parker. He's like, no, I'm Peter Parker. And then you get Andrew Garfield, the other Spider-Man. Boom, he's blasted in. So you get 3 It was so good. It was so good. You'll enjoy it. If you have kids, you'll enjoy it. But also, if you're just like a grown-up who likes Marvel films, you'll enjoy it. It's terrific. So there you go. But here's what happened to me at the movies. This is just indicative of the era we live in, the times we live in. At some point in the movie, somebody pulled out a laser pointer. Somebody who was in the theater had a laser pointer, and he was pointing it all along the walls, and then he was pointing it on the screen, and all of this kind of stuff. And maybe if this was 1998, we'd all go, that's fun. Like my son goes, somebody's got a laser pointer. And I'm like, I know. I'm watching the laser pointer. He's, it's hitting the back of seats. There are people people getting laser pointers on the backs, laser pointers on their heads, laser pointers on the screen. Folks, I went into it. I almost left. This is not, we about to have a Batman style shooting in this place. Somebody checking out their rifle scope? Is somebody playing with is this a laser pointer, or is this are we about to be another mass shooting here? What I could not get comfortable for the entire rest of the film. And I know it's a silly thing. It's God, did that ruin the mood? Because I know it's just some idiot kid playing with a. Right now, I mean, we got out, we're fine, nothing happened. But man, I'm telling you, I'm watching this thing, and he's pointing it on people, and I'm like, and I could not. I'm sitting there, and I'm constantly looking, and I'm looking at the back of my kid's head, and I'm like, okay, I tell you, man, somebody with a laser pointer, if he puts it on my kid, we are getting out of here, and we are stopping this film, and we are having this person. These are the times we live in. I mean. Was it silly? No, I don't think it was silly. I think that, I mean, we live in a very dangerous era where there are psychopaths out there, and it's not Pugs. Nobody does that in a movie theater. Aurora, Colorado, Batman. They did it I'm in a Spider-Man movie. I don't know. Is that a thing with these psychos now? They're going to start going into these superhero movies and being the villain. I am the villain. I mean, it was unnerving. I still enjoyed the film. I was able to sort of, get my head together. Thankfully, the experience wasn't ruined for my son, because my son doesn't have, the same life experiences and doesn't really think about these things. And I don't want him to be thinking about these things. I don't want my 12-year-old to be concerned that every time he goes into a crowd that he's got to figure out where is the best exit. How do I get out of here closest? If something goes down, where am I moving towards first? I do that. Okay. You're with me. I'll drag, but I still do that. I go into a restaurant. I go into a Target. I go into whatever it is. When I walk into these places, because of the world that we live in, I am always aware of where I am. Always. And I'm always aware of where an exit is. And I always ask myself, all right, shit goes down. Where am I going? Where's the first place I'm heading towards? And that's how we got to live. So my movie experience, the first movie I'd been to in 3 years, got completely pissed on by some idiot with a laser pointer. I'm sure they were having fun. Luckily, it stopped. I don't know how it stopped, but it did. It stopped. It only went on for about 10 minutes. But then for the whole rest of the movie, I was not in a mood, man. I enjoyed the film, and I was trying, you suspend reality in these films. That's the whole point. It's escapism. You're supposed to watch a movie and be taken somewhere else, taken away from the bullshit of the regular world. But this idiot with a laser pointer made me frosty. I had to stay frosty now. I got my kid with me. All right, where are we going? We're going to crawl on our bellies, and then we'll roll down that aisle, and there's an exit right there. We go, boom, we go right out that exit. Isn't it terrible that and I'm not crazy. I'm not going to stop going places. I'm not agoraphobic. I'm not going to turn myself into a shut-in because the world is dangerous. But man, have a plan. That's how have a plan. Being aware of the potential of such things and having a plan shouldn't be, something that ruins you or somehow makes you lesser than. Me, I think it makes me, I'm on point. I'm going to stay on point, and I'm going to know exactly where everything is. Okay. So best motion picture, musical or comedy, West Side Story. We're not going to see that. Best director, Jane Campion for Power of the Dog. Best screenplay, Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. Best actress in a motion picture drama, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos. Hey, man. Nicole Kidman shouldn't play Lucy Ball. It should be Deborah Messing, because she did a skit on Will and Grace once, and she's got red hair. Remember that? Remember we had that conversation? And I'm like, you fucking morons. I got Deborah Messing. This movie, this story of Lucy Ricardo or Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz Jr. that takes place over a week during the filming of the I Love Lucy show. That's where it's set. This is not some silly reenactment of the grape stomping bit or the assembly line candy bit. That is not what this is. Deborah Messing might be able to mimic that, and she may be able to look like her, but this is a movie about what is supposed to have been one of the most stressful periods of time in the life of the iconic Lucille Ball. She was under investigation by the House committee on the communist thing. She was under investigation there. Her marriage was breaking up to Desi Arnaz Jr. She was learning that he was cheating on her. Her business with Desilu Studios was taking on water. That's what this isn't about. Hey, Nicole Kidman's going to do Lucy sketches for the next 2 hours. No, it's about what it was like being Lucy at this time in her life. And it required a shit ton of drama that I am certain Deborah Messing could not pull off, but Oscar winner Nicole Kidman could. Nicole Kidman was great. I don't know if you've seen Being the Ricardos yet on Amazon Prime, but Nicole Kidman was great. So was Fred and Ethel. The people who played Fred, J.K. Simons played Fred, and the girl from Billy Bob Thornton's TV show Goliath played Ethel. They were great too. So Fred and Ethel were great, and Nicole Kidman was great. And Nicole Kidman is won Best Actress in a Drama. By the way, that ought to tell you something. Being the Ricardos, the Lucille Ball movie, is not in the comedy category. It's in the drama category. It's a drama. This is more about Lucy behind the scenes than it is Lucy in front of the scenes. So I'm so glad that Nicole Kidman won this. She beat out Lady Gaga for House of Gucci, which, a lot of people thought that Lady Gaga was going to win. Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, Will Smith, King Richard. Haven't seen that. That's the story of Venus and Serena Williams and their dad, Richard, and how he raised them, Will Smith. I haven't seen that yet. Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy went to Rachel Zegler for West Side Story. Like I said, I'm not going to see West Side Story. Best Actor in a Motion Picture went to Andrew Garfield. Speaking of Spider-Man, the old Spider-Man himself for Tick, Tick, Boom. I don't know what Tick, Tick, Boom is, but he beat DiCaprio in Don't Look Up. He beat Dinklage in Cyrano. He beat... Licorice Pizza got shut out. I really want to see Licorice Pizza, but they beat Cooper Hoffman. Do you know who Cooper Hoffman is? Cooper Hoffman is the star of Licorice Pizza. Cooper Hoffman is the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman. Remember the great Philip Seymour Hoffman who died suddenly a few years back? Well, this is his son, and his son's got his first leading role, and it looks like he was nominated for Best Actor. I haven't seen the movie yet. I desperately want to see Licorice Pizza because I'm such a Paul Thomas Anderson fan. I mean... Come on now. Boogie Nights, Magnolia. I mean, don't get bogged down, Pugs. Move on. Best Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. When you're a jet all the way. Steven Spielberg doing a musical. I only want Steven Spielberg with aliens, spaceships, and dinosaurs. That's it. That's all I want from you, Steve. Sharks, too. You want to go back into the shark genre? You can do that. That's great. Steven, how about instead of trying to reinvent West Side Story, which is a musical that, really, who cares? Why don't you stick your teeth into Sharknado? You know the Sharknado series? The series of, how about you reinvent Sharknado? Spielberg presents Shark. That would be something to see. West Side Story. A girl like Maria. No. Was the world calling out for a West Side Story reboot? Oh my God. Never seen it. Don't care. Seen enough of it to know that I don't want to see it. Moving on. But congratulations to you, Ariana DeBose. I'm sure you're wonderful for the people who appreciate that kind of thing. She won for West Side Story. Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture, Cody Smith McPhee. Power of the Dog. Another Power of the Dog winner. I'm going to have to see this on Netflix. And okay, that's it. So we don't need to waste any more time. Oh, Billie Eilish won an award. Billie Eilish won for No Time to Die, which is, I believe, going out on a limb here. Best Original Song, Billie Eilish, No Time to Die. That sounds like a Bond flick. I don't know, because if you know me, you know never seen a Bond flick. I've never seen a Bond flick all the way through. I've not. I understand that they're wonderful. But I have just, it doesn't seem, the Bond movies don't seem legit to me. I don't, I'm not buying, you know who I like? I like the American Bond. I like Jack Ryan. That's who I like. I like the Tom Clancy. I like Hunt for Red October. I like Presumed Innocence. Patriot Games. That's, I don't even care. I don't even care if it's Harrison Ford. I don't care if it's, who played Jack Ryan in Hunt for Red? Alec Baldwin. I don't care. We've had multiple, or you know what? Sure, I say Jack Ryan is the American Bond, and I love the Jack Ryan film series. But John Krasinski, Jim from The Office, who plays Jack Ryan in the Amazon Prime series, Jack Ryan. I like him too. He's good. I love the Jack. I can go with I can go with Matt Damon. I can go with the Jason Bourne. If you don't, I love the Jason Bourne. If you want to say that Jack Ryan's not necessarily the American equivalent to James Bond, okay, that's fine. How about Jason Bourne? Jason Bourne. I've seen those. I just not James Bond. It's just too phony baloney. It's you've fallen into my trap, Mr. Bond. You know, it's silly. It's campy. It's cheesy. I like the more real stuff. All right, so that's why the Golden Globes are trending. Spent a lot of time on that. Sinead O'Connor is trending. Why is Sinead trending? Oh, this is sad. Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor's 17-year-old son committed suicide over the weekend. He went missing from a hospital where he was on suicide watch. He suffered from depression, and he went out and, Sinead O'Connor, I love Sinead O'Connor. I love her music. I really love her as a performer. Emperor's New Clothes is such a great song. She's got a bunch of great songs, and we don't need to run through her discography. But the thing about Sinead O'Connor that I've always admired is that when you think of Sinead, she's crazy. She like crazy. Remember when she ripped up that picture on Saturday Night Live? I mean, how disrespectful was that? Hey, remember that? Remember when she, years before the entire world caught up, went on Saturday Night Live, pulled out a picture of the Pope, made a statement about the rape of children in the Catholic Church, and then tore the picture of the Pope? She was banned from Saturday Night Live. She was banned from NBC. The entire world went, how could she do that? And then a couple of years later, the Catholic Church has a sex scandal. And I'm like, dude, Sinead O'Connor has been trying to tell us, and you basically ruined her career because she was first through the door. She was the first person who is out there publicly as an Irish Catholic herself, who went through Catholic schools and grew up and knew victims of the abuse and that sort of thing. The first person through the door always takes the bullet in the head. And that's what Sinead O'Connor did with that whole thing. Yeah, remember when she was so disrespectful to the Pope? Yeah, and I remember a couple of years later when the Catholic Church became the most evil organization on the planet because it was revealed that she was right about all of the children. She's totally misunderstood. Also cool. Also a cool chick. Her shaved head look, that wasn't because she walked around with a shaved head. Sinead O'Connor had a shaved head back in the early, she doesn't have a shaved head anymore, although I think she still keeps it fairly short. She shaved her head because when she was first signed and her record was about to come out, she did a photo shoot and she had long, pretty black hair. And she was a pretty girl. I mean, if you've ever seen the Nothing Compares to You video, it's just a, static shot on her face. Beautiful blue eyes. I mean, she was a pretty girl and she had long brown hair, and they released all of these publicity photos to introduce her to the world. And they were trying to make her Madonna. They were trying to make her a sex symbol. And she said, I'm not comfortable with that. So she went home and shaved her head. And she said, if you're going to try and turn me into a sex symbol, this is what you're working with now. Very nice. I mean, she's just a cool broad. She's a cool broad. A lot of problems, certainly a complicated woman. She's had her own bouts with depression over the years, but it's a very sad thing that her 17-year-old son has taken his own life. So she was trending today. Let's see. What else do we have here? Anything else? Yeah, okay, so we're going to show you this. I wasn't going to really go into this, but I want to look at it because I haven't seen it. The other day on Pillow Talk, we were talking about all the new TV shows that are coming, and I was lamenting how they're, oh, really, Pugs? You're so original. You're complaining about the lack of originality in television and movies, how they really just seem to be rebooting everything. Oh, you're such a fascinating individual. Well, okay, I understand that a lot of people complain about this, but I went through a list of TV shows that were coming to TV streaming services, what have you, over the next year, 2022. And I think some of the best examples of just what bullshit we seem to be faced with. What was it? That 90s show. A new show. There's a new show coming. It's called That 90s Show. Maybe remind you of That 70s Show. It's just That 70s Show. They didn't learn from That 80s Show. That 80s Show was the original time they tried to spin off the success of That 70s Show, which, by the way, That 70s Show's a terrific show. That's a really funny show. I still watch that in reruns if I get a chance. If it's on, I will sit and I will watch a couple of minutes of That 70s Show. It's a funny show. And then they tried to, milk it by doing That 80s Show, and it wasn't nearly as successful. I think it may have run for a year or two, but it wasn't like a big thing. Well, they're trying to do it again, and now it's That 90s Show. Oh my God. And if that doesn't make you want to barf, will you be tuning in for How I Met Your Father? Yep. How I Met Your Father is coming to a TV near you in 2022 because Hollywood is all out of ideas. Oh, Pugs, you're so interesting. That is such a unique observation. Nobody has ever had an observation like that. Well, here's one that we talked about in the same vein. This is trending today because this is the first look. This is the first trailer of a new series called Bel-Air. Bel-Air is coming to television this year in 2022. Hey, Pugs, what's Bel-Air about? Well, Bel-Air is about a black kid from the inner city of Philadelphia who moves to Bel-Air with his uncle and his Aunt Viv, and he's fresh. He's got sort of an urban kind of take about. Bel-Air is just the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air rebooted, not as a situation comedy the way the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was. This is now a 1-hour dramedy or drama being compared to in the vein of This Is Us. So they're taking the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, same characters, reinventing it, and now it's this. So here, let's get a look at this. Let's see what this. I have not seen this yet, so let's check it out.
This time we're trying to make you forget who you are and where you came from. Don't let it do that.
Damn! Jeffrey Thompson, house manager.
Well,
Oh, Viv! 10 years is a long time.
let me show you around.
Where them dimes at?
Hillary. Let's go find you something fit for a prince.
What do you think?
I made you love.
Yo, Uncle Phil! I'm glad you're safe. We'll talk later.
Cause I will.
Yo! Is this really baby Ashley? You're a long way from home, Mom. Oh, Tim, how you been? You know, thriving. I hope one day we can talk about why you're really here. Do you know why I'm here from Philly?
Scrapping the bull court. Got nasty.
Who do that? Was it you?
Now some bad man from Philly want to deal with you. Well, I moved mountains to get you here. So here's the story. Came to Bel-Air for a better education. Simple. Be patient. Give this a real chance.
We have a different set of rules here, okay? If you want to do well, just keep your head down and follow my lead.
Whoa. Man, you know I'm a rep West Philly wherever I go.
Yo, King, what's up, man? No love. Look around. These are my people.
What? From now on, steer clear.
Welcome to Bel-Air. What the hell is my life?
Yo, chill out, bro.
Maybe Will just isn't cut out for this. Why are we working so hard to save a boy who doesn't want to be saved?
Because we owe it to him.
A real man takes responsibility for his actions. A real man knows when to let go of his pride and make the most out of a second chance.
Be the Will who charmed West Philly with his talent and swag.
Let the music diffuse all attention. Get out my face, you people so phony.
There's no going back.
Made you look. King of the town.
All right. So, there you have it. That is the first trailer for the reboot, the reimagining, I suppose you could say, of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And that looks good. That actually looks good. I was so ready to think it looked terrible. I was so ready to just be like, oh, there are no original ideas. And granted, that is not an original idea. However, the originality does come into play in the fact that they took something that we all have expectations of, which is we're all familiar with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's a great half-hour situation comedy from the early 90s, the late 80s. It was what made Will Smith a star. It was funny. It was silly. It was dumb. It was corny, whatever. It's a cornerstone show for a generation who grew up watching TV. They took that and they have completely flipped the premise. Well, not the premise. The premise is actually still the same, but the tone, they have made it into what is going to be a one. I am shocked. I thought, I swear to God, I didn't see it. I just had it there and I was like, okay, this is trending. Let's watch it. Let me give my real reaction because, reaction shows, those are really hot on YouTube. This is my honest to God reaction to seeing that for the first time. It does not look terrible. I mean, look, if you're a cynical person, then you won't give it a chance because you'll just be like, oh, that's just the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yes, it is. But also, they've kind of reimagined what that seemingly reimagined what that show is. I think I will watch that. I will check that out. And I do not watch Peacock. I understand that I need to start watching Peacock. A lot of people have told me that Peacock has some really good stuff. Bugs, I don't care. I know you don't like NBC, but this is different. This is NBC's streaming platform. They've actually got some stuff that probably wouldn't make it on NBC because it's too good. Because network TV needs to be, it's like the Domino's pizza. It needs to appeal to everybody. Domino's pizza needs to taste like something that people in North Dakota and people in South Carolina would like. It needs to be non-offensive, non-specific, very generic. It's pizza. And that's essentially what you find on network TV now. But on the streaming platforms, they're allowed to get a little bit more savory. They're allowed to get a little bit more spicy, a little bit more this, a little bit more that. That looks good. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but that is not bad. That is actually pretty good. So there you go. I was all ready to be, pissy and angry and all that good stuff about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reboot, Bel-Air, coming to Peacock in February. All right, let's see here. I'm going to quickly just run through the trending topics and see if there's anything that we've missed because we are running a little bit late today. Not late. We're not running late. Come on. Who are you kidding me? See if there's anything new trending that I missed. Paid in Bitcoin is trending. Don't know what that's about. Robert Durst, as I was told earlier in the show, Robert Durst of the Jinx, the guy, multi-millionaire real estate, New York City heir. Robert Durst, who used his money and his influence to basically skate justice for like 30 years, killed a bunch of people, killed his wife, killed his best friend, and HBO did a series. If you're interested in who Robert Durst is, you can just go ahead, pull up The Jinx. Man, The Jinx is so good. Robert Durst dies at 78 years old. He was just convicted last summer, I want to say, and sent to prison, so he didn't have to spend all that much time in prison. Anything else? Black Monday. All right, we covered that. A bunch of coaches getting fired. I don't know if anybody new has, other than I'm seeing here that Joe Judge of the New York Giants, it looks like he's going to stay. Is that what I'm seeing here? Okay, because it was thought that maybe Joe Judge was going to be fired as well. It looks like he's probably going to stay. Fresh Prince is trending. Well, we just talked about why. Nazism. That's always a good way to spend your afternoon. Let's read about Nazism. Hard pass. Clay Aiken is trending. Clay Aiken has decided that he's going to run for Congress in North Carolina. He has put out his first campaign ad. It's very nice. It is very nice. Don Maynard has died. Don Maynard. This is breaking now. Don Maynard, who, if you're a fan of NFL football and you're familiar with the old AFL, Don Maynard, New York Jet, great wide receiver, the guy that Joe Theismann, Pugs, you're such a Joe Namath, the guy that Joe Namath's favorite target. Don Maynard has died, 86 years old. Red Lobster is trending. This wasn't trending earlier today. We're just playing catch up here. Red Lobster staff says they work when they're ill because of a lack of paid well, look, I don't need to read anymore because I do not go to. I've been to Red Lobster like twice in my life, and it was specifically for the Cheddar Bay biscuits. And then, 20 years ago, they started selling that shit in powder form in stores, and I don't need to go into a Red Lobster anymore to have Cheddar Bay biscuits. You can just get them. You make them at home. No worries. George and Ted, that's Bear stuff. Harbaugh. Source, Dolphins will not hire Jim Harbaugh after firing Flores. Okay, Limp Bizkit is trending, which is just a wonderful thing about Twitter. Limp Bizkit is trending because Robert Durst has died. So, I guess a number of people were confused and thought Robert Durst was Limp Bizkit lead singer Fred Durst, and so that's happening. All right, let's see here. What do we got? Let's wrap this up. What we say? We've already gone a little bit late. There we go. A little John Hinckley closing theme.
I have got my poetry. I have got my song.
Ba-doo-ba-doo.
They see me through the lonely nights. Help me to be strong.
Ba-da-ba-doo-ba-doo.
I am like the dancing bear, trained to be the best.
Ooh, so how every time I listen to the song, I just think of how we could reproduce it. Maybe I don't want to change the arrangement so much. I like just him there with the acoustic guitar, but what could we put? Imagine Tijuana brass. Imagine Mexican horns, Oh. Heavy drums.
I can smile a little now.
Come on! Get me in a studio with John Hinckley. I'll produce the shit out of this song.
That is understood. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest.
All right. No pillow talk tonight because we got a national championship game. And I'm sorry. I love what I do here. We typically do 2 streams a day, but I like football. What can I tell you? I watched the entire season of college football. I'm a football fanatic. I love college football. This is the Dogs versus the Pugs. You're a college football fanatic and you struggled to find Crimson Tide. You are such a poser.
Another day, the best is yet to come.
Is that more Beatles horns? That's more like That's more like George Martin Beatles horns. I'm thinking more of Mexican horns. I'm thinking more of you know what I mean.
Different way, so baffling to some.
Whoa, whoa.
I have got an old guitar. That is all I need. I don't need no 401. I don't have the green. Down the
All right. Horns are getting a little invasive. I understand that, but we're working it out. This is just how we jam in the studio before we figure out what parts work and what parts don't work. It'll be fine. Trust me. The final mix will be great. By the way, I do not expect Georgia to be able to beat I don't care that Georgia was number one for 99.9% of the season this year. They squared up with Alabama a couple of weeks back and, didn't go so well for them. And I have absolutely no reason to think that either team has changed. Alabama is a powerhouse. I hate Alabama. I really do. I don't like Alabama. And I also don't like Georgia. So Pugs, then why aren't you doing a pillow talk if it's two teams you don't even care about? Well, because I care about the overarching idea. I care about the pop. I care about the fact that this is a cultural moment in America. I've seen every national championship game of the last 40 years, easily. And I'm not going to stop now just because I don't like the teams.
I'll travel far from the comfort nest. I'm on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come. I have found a
So good.
way.
All right, bye, everybody. Love you. See you. Whoa. See tomorrow noon. We'll be back here tomorrow at noon for more of the high noon edition of. I may even have to change this because it's. I'm going to be doing this high noon show by myself almost every day now. It's going to be the reg. It's just going to be me. With whatever is trending. Yeah, right, Glenn? Glenn. Right? Like Jeff, Glenn and I are such good friends. We're now like kids on the schoolyard. That's right, Glenn. No, yeah, mariachi. That's what it should be. Mariachi this bitch up. Absolutely. I think that would work great. And my horns, Jeff, they were Beetle horns, right? I gotta figure out how to replicate that mariachi sound. But yes, all right. Jeff can be my chief engineer. We'll be back tomorrow at noon for more high noon. Central Standard Time.
I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. Down the road I'll travel.